And I believe we are live. At least my computer says we are live. I'm just gonna verify on my monitor here.
Yeah, we're live.
I'm there. So yeah, you're live. Welcome to this stream. Tonight we are gonna try to talk about filaments and how filaments are changing, new materials are coming up, and that enables us to do different things with 3D printing. It's not only just PLA or ABS anymore. It's a lot of stuff happening in the material field. So that is a main subject for tonight, and I'm sure we will wander off into whatever during the stream, but we'll try to keep on the subject. But I want to start with introductions and start with you, Miles.
Okay, we'll start with me. Well, Miles, how are you doing, everyone? About to hopefully struggling to record a 3D printing podcast. Working on the first episode so it can come out before TCT. That's what I'm trying to do. Otherwise, I'm just moderating the Facebook group and stuff, trying to make sure everyone's not wanting to murder each other.
Yeah, thank you. And Ben, you're up.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben, formerly CEO and founder of Hawk3D Proto, now full-time with content creation. You probably see me in most live streams. I'm always chatting and commenting on things and trying to give my 2 cents, if you like, and try to be as helpful as I can to everybody.
Yeah, thank you. George, you're up.
Hi, this is my first Friday chat. I'm George Konstantinidis from MVO Engineering. You probably seen us on Twitter and Facebook as mvoeng.com. We started out in 3D printing back in 2016, actually working with Ben. And from then, we've grown as much as we can. And now it's my full-time occupation. Here to pitch in my engineering knowledge and meet more and more people.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm Marteinn. I have a YouTube channel called 3DP Iceland. I do a lot of filament testing and project videos, and what I'm mostly known for maybe is the landscapes. I print out 3D printed landscapes and then I paint them, and that's like the main drive for my channel, doing this. But I have all kind of projects, videos and filament reviews and stuff like that. So that's me in a few words. Yeah, so I think we can just start with the show. And like I mentioned earlier, the topic is different materials and how we can use different types of material for different projects, and what we see exciting in the field. I've been getting the MakerBox samples where I receive a small sample of different types of materials, and it's always fun to play around with different materials to test. And there's a lot of stuff that is like engineering grade and stuff that is purely for looks, like all the glitter filaments, and then the PLA and ABS is like more common. But I see that Tom FilamentFrenzy is joining in, and I'm going to give him an opportunity to do his introductions. So Tom, are you ready?
I hope so. Can you see me?
No, we just hear you.
Bear with me a second, I'll come back.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. He will join back in. But yeah, like I said, we want to talk about how different materials give us opportunities in 3D printing. So I would just like to start with a questionnaire. so maybe I'll start with George, because he's working in this field in engineering. What materials have you seen in the maybe recent year that have somewhat been a game changer in your opinion?
Well, there's been a lot of hype. Realistically, when it comes to 3D printing, most people in the industry were very happy to print with PLA and ABS. And then suddenly you start seeing the things with fills. So we'll start off like structural stuff where you would want something along the lines of a PET with a carbon fiber. That gives you the rigidity. It's very easy to print. It's of course abrasive to your nozzles, but when you're running a machine that needs to be printing structural stuff, that's good. A lot of people are trying to push the envelope with materials such as PEEK and Ultem. Those are proper engineering materials, and they do have the structural strength to go in aerospace or automotive or even the oil field that I was in. It's just difficult to get the machine to be able to do that. And also, if you wanted to get the full properties out of it, you need to cross-link them once they've been printed. So effectively, you need to be running an oven with a 3D printer inside, as opposed to a 3D printer inside an oven. The one material that I've always had sort of interest in looking at has been the ones that have got carbon-based compounds inside. So we're talking about graphene, graphite, carbon. You got and recently we started seeing diamond ones. I don't particularly understand why we're seeing the diamond, the micro diamond, because
someone let the R&D department have fun.
Very possibly. I mean, diamond. I've worked with diamond, polycrystalline diamond, and natural diamond in my job. The only thing that it's really good for is abrasion resistance and heat conductivity. So next to water, diamond is one of the best heat conductors you can get in a solid.
A lot of the diamonds are they can be heat treated so that you can get them to a lot higher temperature, like 120 degrees. And most of them go for like the diamonds, so it's an easy print, but it's a hard wearing finish. So that if you want to be able to print something that's industrial for an industrial use, but it doesn't need to have the strength or it doesn't need to have the temperature of what something like that normally would, then the diamond's great because it's got a great finish compared to what PLA would, a lot more harder wearing.
Oh, that's amazing. I've yet to try it. I mean, I'd be interested to see it. I'm not dissing it in any way.
I've got two at the minute. I've got one that's released, which is a nano diamond, and one that's not released. They're both, to me, I think it's the same material from the same place, but they're pretty cool. It's like just like when it prints, it's just like a milky white, but it has like a sandy type feel to it. But it's not really abrasive on the nozzle because I've done 2 or 3 kilos on the MK3 that's printing now, and still
that's interesting. No problem. That's interesting. I mean, diamond, you know, it depends on how you use the diamond. Like diamond paste is something that you would use to polish stuff with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it might be interesting to pull apart your nozzle later and see what it looks like inside. Nice and shiny.
Yeah, diamond filament. That's something. You can print some strange things with that. But since Tom joined, I want to give him an opportunity to do his introductions. So Tom, if you would.
I'm Tom, FilamentFrenzy, on the Twitters. YouTube coming, website coming sooner than we think. And yeah, that's it. Hi.
Yeah, thank you. Give everybody a chance. Yeah, so like the PEEK and the engineering filament, that's maybe out of the realm of like a home hobbyist to get equipment to print with materials like that.
The price of the equipment is coming down. I mean, I was quite surprised that some of the Chinese machines that claim to be very high temperature are less than the 10,000 euro mark. Of course, yeah, you get what you pay for in the 3D printing world, as you guys know, right? So, have you guys seen what people have been doing with the metal filled stuff? Bronze, brass, and steel.
Oxidizing it.
Yeah.
I saw Spectra doing that on Twitter. That was cool.
So there's a guy called Oliver Clark. I don't know whether he's on. Let me see. I can't remember if he's on Twitter, but he's definitely on Instagram. And he bought some of our PLA with the bronze inside, and he's been making some really fantastic sculptures.
Oh, I saw that on Instagram. The finish is amazing. Well, it looks amazing printed, but once he's done the thing to it, the color, the way it changes, is fantastic.
Yeah, he sanded a lot out of them, and he's got the process down to an art, and he's made the finish of it fantastic. And then once he dips it in the acid, my God. And I wanted to do our mascot in that as well at some point, and it's heavy. So that's got roughly, it's on the verge of becoming sinterable. So 80% metal fill is as much as you can get in suspension with PLA. And once you've got that printed, it feels like metal. It's got the same weight as the metal. It feels like metal in your hand in that it takes the temperature away. And it feels cool. And then if you were to put that into a sintering oven under vacuum, you might even be able to turn that into something along the lines of Virtual Foundry was talking about, right? So you burn off the PLA or whatever binder you have, and you're left with pure metal. Now, I haven't done it because I don't have access to an oven, but it might be interesting to see what people can make of it.
That's interesting how you mentioned about the Foundry, George, because the ColourFab PLA PHA blend you can cast for Foundry with that.
Correct.
Because
yeah.
Spectra 3D use it, and when we were selling the stacker, that's what used to sell big time for us, because people were just loving the fact that you could, use it for Foundry work. And obviously some of our customers were obviously in that industry, and as you know yourself, it's good if you can use it for a technical application, not just kind of a look and feel. Because
Correct.
As good as Protopasta is, and I'm certainly not slated because I absolutely love the stuff. In fact, I've just got a delivery from them. But they're like metal fill and all these other metal fills that are out there that are only about 20%. You're looking at just using it for aesthetic, really, rather than using it as a functional, object, because otherwise it's just going to be too brittle.
Yeah, filamentives, that's 80%, 20% recycled. 20% recycled PLA, 80% copper fill. And that was my first experience with copper fill with that thing, and it prints like butter. But I see what you're saying. I've had some of the Chinese ones as well with the 20%, and it's more for a touch and a feel than it is for a used part.
That's true.
Yes.
With go on, Martin. Sorry. Karen.
Yeah. So when you print for the foundry, would you then print with 100% infill to get as much copper material in the part?
So if you're doing there's two different processes here. The first one is you're printing something that is 100%, right? And then you would then put that object as it is into the oven, and with the high temperature you would actually sinter. That is different from the casting that a traditional foundry would do. A traditional foundry would do what Spectra is doing, where they would take material that can easily burn off, whether it's wax or virgin PLA or PLA PHA, that doesn't leave a residue behind. And you would then invest that or dip it into a ceramic. From the ceramic, then you would heat the whole composite with the 3D printed part inside until you're left with a cavity, and in that cavity you would pour the metal. The final step is then to chip away the ceramic. But the sintering is you basically make a solid part which has maybe a 20% larger volume than the volume that you want to end up with. Put it under pressure and temperature until it all compresses into one solid lump.
Yeah. Okay. So with the casting process, the print is like the mold for the object itself. It's
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a very quick way of doing it, because previously you would think about investment casting. The classic example is the one we were taught was NATO bayonets. If you're not squeamish about weapons, where basically they make plastic or wax negatives or prototypes, and they put them on a string of wax, and they dip that into ceramic, and then you burn off the wax, and the lost wax process, similar to what the Spectre guys are talking about. But then there's also the displacement, where you're basically creating the prototype and you're putting it into sand, and that's a different story altogether as well.
Yeah, companies like Vauxhall Jet are using like the sand stuff out there. I remember seeing how they, their machines start at like 500 meters and up to 2.2, and it's just you're talking £500,000 to over $1 million for that sort of stuff. But if you need it, you need it, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Ben, because you were a reseller not so long ago. And how was the trend with customer requests in regard of different material types beside the PLA? How was your feel of the end user market changing to different materials?
Yeah, I mean, for us, there was very rare the amount of people that just wanted PLA. There were people that wanted like the hybrid stuff. So you could be talking about, whereas I talk about hybrid, I mean like Innerfill Pro 1 and like Polymaker Polymax. And the reason why I say that is because they have like the industrial strength of like ABS, but the print at PLA temperatures. So that's why I would call them a hybrid, because that means that you're printing at one temperature throughout, but you're still getting the strength, which is quite unusual. So we were referring to people to use like Polymax PLA or like the PC Max, which is their version of polycarbonate, so you can print their polycarbonate on any standard machine. Now, when we started really getting into 3D printing, we were selling a manufacturer called Airwolf, and we were selling quite a lot of their machines at the time. And at the time, it was the only machine that I could find that was really printing polycarbonate well. And obviously, everything's evolved since then, and you can print it on many machines now. So for us, it was like they were asking for polycarbonates, nylons, they wanted carbon fiber. And again, that's why I mentioned about the whole stainless steel thing, where people are saying that they want to print with stainless steel, but use it for functional prototypes. Now, Tom, FilamentFrenzy has quite rightly pointed out that Filamentive make one that's 80%. Now, if you've got one, as he quite rightly says, that does 80%, then you more than likely would be able to use it functionally. However, the other stuff that's like 20%, 10%, I always used to say to our customers, just avoid it. If you're needing an aesthetic look on something, then of course use it. But yeah, it was more like the higher temperature stuff. And George mentioned it earlier about peak and ultem. When we were a business, there was only several companies that you could get peak and ultem for, and you're talking tens of thousands of pounds for a machine. But as we're seeing in the industry now, they're coming so readily available. E3D themselves are selling a version of peak and ultem, whether it's a hybrid peak and ultem, I'm not quite sure, but it'll be quite interesting to see. I think their tool changer machine might be able to print it. So yeah.
Can we, like, as a community, are we agreeing that ABS is dead now?
ABS is back.
Yeah, I think
that.
I bought one roll of ABS and used maybe 1/10 of it.
There's a place for it still in the community, in the, let's say, the home user. I would agree, yes. So we haven't sold a roll of ABS in the last 3 months. Let's put it that way. And the people that did buy it, they bought it because of the smoothing ability. And that's down to the natural ABS, right? So the unmodified stuff, which prints like a dog. The ABS EP that we call the easy print stuff, or other people call it plus, or every company's got their own name for it, which has been modified slightly, loses a bit of its strength, loses a bit of its ability to be smoothed. That makes a lot more sense. But most people, I can see Chris is talking about ASA there on the chat. ASA is my go-to material as well, because it's got a lot more use out more usage in real-world applications. So if you wanted to print something that is going to go out in the sun, use ASA. If you wanted something that is easier to print than ABS but has similar strength characteristics, again ASA. Again, you can't vapor smooth it, but show of hands, how many people actually do vapor smooth?
Only the Polymaker Polysmooth.
Yeah, well,
and that's
That stuff is
material for this polysmoother, right?
Yeah. It's funny what you say about ASA, George, about smoothing it, because I found it's actually, from experience, the best material I've printed with for post-processing. I've done a couple of videos where I've done some post-processing techniques, and I'm no master. I'm learning as I go, but it's the one material that you can sand down and then put spray paint onto it or paint directly without having to use primer.
yeah, I'm not surprised. It's basically car bumper material, right?
Matte fiber's good for that by Proto pasta because that's like a sponge. It soaks it up, so you can spray a nice thin coat on it. It seals it, and then you just spray over it, and away you go. But again, if you want something functional like HDPLA, you'll have to anneal it if you want high temp and so on.
Yeah, we have a new visitor, Ian. If you would like to do your introductions, since you are just joining in.
I was going to check first that the audio's working. I don't know if it is.
Yeah, you're all good.
Yeah, okay, good. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just a little bit last minute. I'm putting the children to bed as usual and ran over a little bit. So I'm Ian. I irblinx on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And I'm also Old Master on Thingiverse, but I irblinx on Cults 3D, on My Mini Factory, and on Pinshape. So I make models, playsets for children, my children, of rockets and that sort of stuff, and basically for me, if I'm being honest. So that's me.
Yeah, thank you. I want to ask Miles, as Miles has been running a very popular Facebook group of 3D printing users. How have you seen the trends in material, like what people are talking about, what materials? Is it still most common people are just talking about PLA, or how has it been on the Facebook group side?
Most people are still printing with PLA. Yeah, it's because it's not a dedicated group for a specific kind of user, so it's the most general assortment of people. They don't really talk about their specific applications too much. There's sort of smaller groups dedicated to specific applications of where different materials would be more prevalent. Most of the time, I'm just seeing PLA and people tearing each other apart for their use of different materials and complaining about each other's use, mostly, or complaining about particular brands. It's interesting that I can see, what I've noticed is like a brand spike in people complaining about it, and then that brand kind of die or like become a lot less prevalent. I've seen that happen. There's generally like a 3 or 4 month gap between those two things, but I've seen it happen a couple of times, a couple of different things, like 8 or 9 posts within a 2 or 3 week period. I don't know, it's like they made a bad batch, but I've noticed that quite a few times. But yeah, mostly just PLA, because most of the time it's just printing functional, not functional stuff. It's more aesthetic things.
Yeah, thanks. And Tom, how is your sense of the filament landscape or material type landscape? You're testing filaments.
More exotic filaments are becoming, for me, more popular. A lot of companies that I'm working with are concentrating on ASA, PTG hybrids like CPE and so on, stuff like that. I find that it's progressive. So when I first came to 3D printing, everyone printed PLA, and you saw certain people printing ABS. PTG were okay, but it was difficult to print when I first came to printing. But everything evolves, everything grows. So for what you'd have seen like 2 years ago, people printing simple vases in PETG. I'm talking about the hobbyist market. Now these type of people are printing harder type of prints that would normally be a PLA type print in PETG. And again, that's just because the machines are getting better, the knowledge and the user base for these people to learn from, that's getting better. The material quality itself, the amount of variety inside each material, that's sort of taken off for me. If you look now, most companies that come to market, they don't just do PLA, they normally start with 3 or 4 materials to begin with. So I think the further we get on, the better. But stuff like Filamentum CPE, for instance, that sort of thing now, it literally does, for me, it prints like PLA. If you have the right printer for it, you can print it like PLA, and obviously you've got, with higher temperatures, but I'm on about where it concerns difficulty to print, it's not actually that difficult to print. So the further that we all sort of grow and we all sort of buy into it, the better, really. And that's the same with sort of your nylons, your carbons, all the sort of composite fills. All of these, again, are progressing, so these will become naturally sort of for the home user, because the home user does want to use nylon, they do want to use carbons, they want all this sort of stuff. But again, you read a warning page and you think, I don't want to ruin my printer. But again, as everything gets better, so will our prints.
Yeah, I got a roll of the CPE. It's called CPE HD 100. I tried this material. I just saw it in the web store and decided to try it.
Yeah, I think that's called Morning Sun Transparent. That's one that I tested, that one.
Yeah, Morning Sun Transparent.
Yeah, it's a lovely colour. When it's 3 or 4 walls thick, it's like a gold colour, but when it's single wall, it's like a transparent yellow. So it's quite a unique colour.
I think from memory that the HG's high gloss as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, HD is high gloss. Yeah, okay.
Does anyone know like a really good matte black filament? Because I'm on the MKBHD vibe. I really want to do like some business card holders and some like plaques and things.
Yeah, Proto Pasta matte black is probably the best that I've ever printed with. It's like it just prints like butter.
I'm fully on that MKBHD all matte black everything kind of vibe. I need to.
And I'll plug a UK company for it. Sorry, George, you don't have it. 3D Filer Print have it.
I think
George does his own.
But yeah, George has one, and I've printed
I've got
it.
a roll of that. That's different. The Proto Pasta stuff, it's
like my wrist.
The Proto Pasta stuff doesn't reflect the light, if that makes sense. So it's matte black, but whereas the Chroma PLA, it's more of a satin. But if you print it at a lower temperature, you get a really flat, dusty color, it's really raw feeling. I like that.
I'm working on this at the moment. This is George's material.
No, cool. That's a nice print, Ben.
This is one of 31, and I'm only on part 7.
Well, Miles, come by the booth TCT when you do, and we can give you some lengths of the material, the PLA MT that we do.
Nice.
Is a bigger version.
Wow.
Yeah. By the way, anyone in the chat who's going to TCT, bring a bag, because people are going to just throw material samples at you. One thing I forgot the first year, just take all these, and I had like genuinely like 20 or 30 different samples. Some of them I still haven't printed. Like this color fab sample from like 2 years ago.
I've got a question for Tom, if he doesn't mind. You're testing a lot of materials, I know that. What kind of ratio are you working to? Is it mostly PLA, or is it a lot of flex? Is it CPE? Is it nylons? What's the ratio?
Me?
Yeah, you.
With what I print with, as in me personally, it's sort of a 50-50 mix of PLA and then like PETGs and CPEs. Market, where the market's going from what I'm testing, because obviously I don't test for every company, so I can't judge the market as a whole. But for what I'm testing, it's going more industrial. And the reason it's going more industrial is because, like, look at the CPE range, the colours, the vibrancy. It covers it's all the birds with one stone, because you've got the colours for the home market, you've got the easy print for the home market, but then you've got all the industrial properties for real world uses and real world applications. So it's definitely going more that way. It's not going towards flexes. Flexes are great. I think the thing with flex is just to make them easier to print, easier to flow. When you put glitter in flex filament, it's a game changer. I've got some glitter flex at the minute, and it goes from printing okay. So with glitter in it, it goes to printing unbelievably good. Like you can print some major overhangs. It reacts to cooling well, just because that glitter gives it that stability. But once it cools, it's still got that flexibility.
But it doesn't change kind of like the overall show hardness kind of.
Right. If it's like 85A, 92A, whatever, it's still just as robust.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
I've been printing a lot more with Flex just lately, just because of the projects that I've been doing. And I have to say that I love it. But that's mainly because I'm doing it on the Prusa, I think. If I was printing it on anything else, then I might be pulling my hair out. But
yeah, you don't want to try. I've tried printing it on so much DR10s and lower end stuff, and the roll's almost full. It's just
It's funny now you mentioned that project, because it inspired me to buy some filament and FlexiFill.
I've done quite a few, to be honest. There was and I did the video, but funnily enough, I was sat about here, so I'm sat in the house tonight. But I did the feet for the chairs, and that was 98A, I think, that I used for that. But then I've also done obviously the Playhouse stuff, and there's a few other things that I've not shared and what have you. And it's I just find it like once you get it dialed in, you can literally leave it and it just prints. The big thing, I know Tom's got a lot better profiles for it, and a couple of tricks on hardware tweaks as well, I guess. But certainly, if you turn retraction off, if you're only doing a single body, then it is fairly easy to print. But yeah, to Tom's point, if they could just make that easy to print, I think that would be a game changer.
If we could just all print like Tom.
With the MK3, there's like you can print Flex straight out of the box, like down to say, I don't know, like 86, 92A, stuff like that, and it'll print it 30 millimeters a second, a little bit of retraction, and you'll get an okay print so that you can sort of use it. But if you take the PTFE and you make that a millimeter longer, that's one option. That's a really good option. Then you can print it a little bit faster. But the best one is you can get like a little insert which goes inside, and then it helps align the Bondtech gears as well. So it creates perfect alignment and tension for Flex, because when you put your PLA in and then you take your PLA out, the tension that you required because of the sort of the path of leaf resistance, that's where the Flex always wants to go, where the hole is. So if you use the same tension on the Bondtech gears as what you do for your PLA, then 9 times out of 10 it'll come straight out the side, because you need to have it a little bit tighter. It needs to squash Flex more. But again, that doesn't affect the diameter, because it's flexible. It expands back to where it was. It comes out again. Whereas if you over tighten PLA, obviously you squash it and then you change the diameter between the drive gear and the nozzle, which then you get all sorts of nonsense going on. But I advise the insert. You can find it on Thingiverse. You put it inside and you can print Flex at 50 millimeters a second. And I think my retraction's 0.8. And you don't have to stay within the part as well, which is a big thing, because a lot of the time I stay within the part for Flex fill prints, and sometimes it can take a lot longer. But yeah, with that little insert, the MK3's a flexing beast.
Worth doing that. I mean, I think 98A I can get 30 millimeters a second, no problem. But 20 is my limit on 92. Otherwise, I do, and I showed it last time when we were talking about fails, and it was a kind of big piece of flexible spaghetti that spat out the side of the extruder. So.
I got some sent by Hertz. That's, I think it's 68A or something stupid. Like, it's not from Hertz. I shouldn't have said that. And it literally, the finish of it is like matte fiber. It's that bendy and that flexible, but it's got like a sponge finish to it. So after using 100 gram of it, you need to get it in a food dehydrator and dry it out again. And I don't know if that's George might be able to answer that. The more flexible you go, if that makes it more susceptible to moisture content, I'm not sure, but it sucked it up like there were no tomorrow.
Typically, not all rubbers. It's the polyurethane rubbers, and if you're talking about non-thermoplastic rubbers, they're very good at not absorbing moisture. The TPU, I haven't used TPU in my engineering experience, so I'm not sure. I mean, the only experience I've ever had actually was a roll of Ninja Flex that somebody came along and said, "Can you print this in a dual print with PLA and make me a special bumper for my mobile phone?" Which we spent quite a lot of time doing, and then it was just a mess. So I gave up on it. The next TPU we did was a 98 Shore, and that one is virtually indestructible in the sense that there was one of my partner companies were printing it, and they had a bet that whoever tore the object, and we're talking about along the layer lines, whoever tore the object would get a box of beers. I mean, that's how it was, and the part's still going there.
Yeah, with the layer you just hit with a hammer and it won't break the leyland. The bonding is that good for it, and especially if you want a functional part that can still move and have a bit of flexibility to it, that may come under a crack, like that can shatter, for instance, then it's a great option, especially if you up that infill. If you print a 98 Shore hardness with an infill of 25-30%, it's stiff. There's not much give it. If it hit you, put it that way. So there's a lot of uses for it, but I think once that becomes more easy print, then you'll see it. But that's again like PETG. The easier it gets to print, the more you'll see it.
I agree. Just to give people the example, when you're talking about shore hardnesses, so a 98 Shore hardness is actually a very, very, very hard rubber.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the O-rings that we use in industry are in the region of 70-75. The silicon stuff that you find inside your shower, those little O-rings are around there. And a lot of like a rubber band, for instance, would go down to 40, just so that people can get a feel for different hardnesses.
That is interesting. As I say, I used the 98A for rubber feet for the dining room.
Oh no, that's perfect. I mean, the 98. The thing is, whenever you're using anything to print, don't make your life difficult. I mean, there are cases where you would say, I need to use a difficult material, but why go down that route? It costs us all money. It's bad for the environment. Do something that you know is going to work, or at least you've got the option of making it work. Too many times I've seen people with the squiggle of whatever material wrapped around the extruder for no reason. And why? Why did you do it?
That is why I stopped using ABS completely. So
yeah.
I used ABS from day one when I was printing with the cell robots.
Yeah.
But it's a contained environment. It's temperature controlled. Got a light bed. It actually prints ABS okay when you've got a good ABS in it. So if you're using something like Titan X, it prints great. But as you say, why go to all that trouble? I get all of the qualities that I need out of a copolyester. So if I use PETG, so at the time it was Engen, Colorfab Engen that was on the robot spools. It's now HD glass from Futura. So either of those two options was perfectly fine. It gave me all of the technical qualities that I needed, and was so much easier to print than ABS. It just didn't make any sense whatsoever. And going on from the robots onto again, I would typically mainly print PETG on the Prusa's, not anything else. But yeah, I mean, you can get again with Tom's frenzy dust sprinkled over the Simplify 3D profiles, and they certainly seem to be an easy thing to print with.
Yeah, Tom, make sure you leave a donate link on your filament profile downloads on your website. Yeah, you got like magic.
You've got the coffee thing, I think, haven't you, Tom?
What's that?
You've got the coffee. Buy me a coffee thing.
Yeah, I've got to buy me a coffee link, but it's not about that. As you know, I work. I've got a job. I do fireworks for a living. It's a successful business. It's a family business. It's not. I'm not here to earn money. And for me, a lot of people like take Uncle Jesse. Uncle Jesse, he prints something. The broken nerd, they print it. That's the start of it. Then they move on to post processing. My fun and enjoyment is in Simplify 3D and in making that material print and that new printer work. And when that print's done, I'm finished then, and I'm not even really interested in the print. Like the skull that's printing now, I'm enjoying watching the skull print and checking that the supports are right and that everything's calibrated for that profile to be released. But I don't know what I'm going to do with that skull. But yeah, it's just.
I noticed what printer that is. You're lucky I like you.
I brought it just for you, Miles.
It's like a solid machine, though.
It's a tiny machine. Miles is right what he says. There's a lot that's come before from a business standpoint. Like Miles says, he doesn't hate the printer. I don't think he really hates the company. He just I think he's frustrated with them. But you can't blame him because there's a lot of stuff that came before, fake accounts, trolling. I've seen it all myself, and you can't then just have a staff change up and then all of a sudden just say, right, we're new and here's a new printer and now everybody buy TiVo, because again, it's progressive. Like most things, it's progressive and it's subjective to you individually. I think the biggest issue that we have where it concerns materials is marketing. There's a lot of companies that see one company do something fantastic and then they jump on it as well. So there'll be a company that's flogging a copolyester that they themselves have no experience with, so they can't help the customer out. Now, if that customer's a first-time user, then the issue we have is that if the printing company that's supplying them can't help the customer, then the customer's going to hit a dead wall, and it's going to be that sort of tainted experience. But yeah, the TiVo is quite good.
Yeah, we found that massively when we had the business, because there were so many manufacturers that we were selling, for example, and then one would come out with something, and then you get a customer going, do you have this? And we're like, no, but we have it in another brand that's been doing it longer and we think that's better. They'd be like, no, but I want this new one. And it's like, how long is this going to go on for when it's kind of like a copycat mechanism, isn't it?
Excuse me for laughing. It's just the consumer and the client. I want that one.
Yeah, I want that one. Yeah. It's not. I'm saying they're wrong. It's like when you've had the experience of printing a certain material yourself, because that's what we did before we brought anything to market. We'd test the hell out of the product before we'd put it on the website or anything, because we did that with every machine as well, because then yourself when you sell it that it's it's good to go.
One of the funniest arguments I remember breaking up on the group was these two people arguing over which filament brand was better, and I literally looked at the store pages for both materials, went to the specifications, turned out it was the same polymer from Eastman, literally the same plastic.
There is a lot of that. There's a lot of that happens because of the master batches. Some of them don't get exclusivity, so that then someone else does it. So like you take Filamentum, that's a good example. Vertigo Grey. Now Filamentum, they don't own grey and they don't own glitter, but what they did do is they created a space, they created a hype and a market around that sort of colour and that sort of vibe. So now everyone left, right and centre wants to do a glitter-based filament, which is great. That's fantastic for us. But then when you get stuff like, I can't stand when you get companies that'll take a material that already exists, they'll add glitter to it, and then they'll double the price, and it don't offer you anything more other than it's shiny. Now, I'm not going to comment on which company that is. But,
no, those who know, don't you?
But to me, that's not right. And the base material, the base roll, the material itself is fantastic. It's an absolutely brilliant material, but you can't change the pigment on it and then throw some glitter in it and say that it hides layer lines, which it does, and then double the price. £72 for 750 gram. That's not okay in anybody's world.
Names.
£72.
I don't know what he's talking about.
If you take, I'll say it, Colour Fab. If you take Colour Fab's Engen, which it's like £32 a roll, and then you take the Engen Lux, which is the exact same properties. It's just a pigment and a surface finish that changes, and then that's 72 quid a roll.
Tom, the reason that they've gone with that is because they're using some very, very high-end pigments inside. I don't know what glitter has been used in other pigments.
Double the cost of the standard roll. Double.
So having worked in cosmetics industry and sorry, Karen.
No, you go.
So basically, I was just comparing this with so. If you believe what they say and all their claims, right, their pigmentation is actually used based on micas and stuff that is used in jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see like I'm trying to find the word now. It's like a blue stone anyway. It's a very iridescent kind of stone. If you start using that kind of material, if you need to make a master batch of that, you're using tons of it. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is always going to be the element of hype. I do not disagree with you at all on that one. It's just that there might be, if there is a difference, in a real difference, not just a claimed difference between what one company is doing and the other company using the jewelry grade type stuff, then yeah, I could pretty much say that, well, the jewelry grade type stuff might be more expensive, but that doesn't justify you using it. If you can get the same thing out of a cheaper roll, why would you pay more?
Yeah, well, it's not even the cost with that one. For me, with that one, again, it's a good material. The standard stuff is fantastic, but I think that they missed the hobby market with that, because the hobby market at £72 for 750 gram, that's not a hobby market. That's, for me, that's the cost of companies from people that either don't have the education to buy different materials with a different cost, or they're looking for that finish and they want to pay for that price, which again is understandable. But I just think that material could have come in a lower cost and gone more mass market.
I would have thought from a corporate's point of view that the market would be fairly narrow for that finish, that type of filament. You know, it really is more of the sort of thing that you see in the hobbyist market, I would have thought. But again, I guess there's always going to be uses for it. But I mean, it's just way too expensive for what it is. And as George says, yeah, there may be good reasons from the point of view of what the actual materials cost, but that doesn't make it a good thing to buy.
We can corner them at TCT and find out what's going on.
I actually saw it last year at TCT and kind of asked them all about it, and mainly because I was still in the I can't believe you're copying Filamentum stage at that point. But
did you have your Filamentum shirt on at the time?
I didn't. No.
Yeah, save that one for another day, and you've got a Filamentum shirt on.
Yeah.
Don't look good, bro.
do the Conor McGregor walk over to him?
Oh,
I've got a much better shirt, hopefully, on the way than this for TCT. So.
I ordered that special T-shirt that we spoke about a couple of days ago.
What, with TiVo in a big love hat? That one.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you were getting.
I'm going to put my flash on my back and bring it as a backpack just for Miles.
You're going to send him potty. He's already having a hard time.
I might even make a YouTube video from TCT. I ordered some. I've been getting more and more filming gear on the cheap. So I'm like, I just like put a little bit of so people who've been thinking of asking me to make videos for a while, I'm thinking about it more and more.
Good.
I gotta get a high grade printer, because one thing that I'm noticing from trying to keep on topic is, like, I've got mostly CR10s. I got some printer bot plays. I've got a Beacon Magician, so I don't have a lot of high end stuff. I've just got quite a lot of hobbyist grade stuff. For me, I have this almost full roll of 85A Ninja Flex, right? It becomes more of a hassle to print anything more interesting than PETG. It just I'm starting to fight with the limitations of the machine. It's like, yeah, you can get that amazing print out for Twitter and show everyone and have everyone pat you on the back and go, that's a really good print. But there's 8 or 9 failed prints in there. And it's just that I feel I've noticed that, especially when I've tried to print the samples from events like TCT or other printing events I've been to. Whenever I try and print on a lower end machine, it just can't seem to hack it. You start to feel the limitation of that cheaper hardware.
When you go,
I was going to say, I wouldn't just say the cheaper hardware. I mean, the guys, a couple of the guys know of some of the pain that I've had with quite expensive hardware. But you really can't go wrong. You can go wrong, but you can't go wrong very often with a Prusa.
I'm looking into liquidating some of the smaller machines I have and throwing some bills on top of that and getting so I don't need 5 printers. I have 5 or 6 of them. I don't need 5 or 6 cheaper printers. I'm trying to consolidate that.
What would you say is a higher quality printer? What's in your mind that you want?
Oh, if I could have anything under the sun, I would have. I go for a Prusa Mark III for my standard FDM.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how good the multi-material goes, determines whether I want to get another machine for multi-material prints. I got a lot of confidence, but I saw a lot of people have problems with the first generation one. So I'll see how you guys deal with the multi-material. And I want to get a Pia Poly. That's
gone.
I love those. I haven't done any photosensitive polymer printing at all. I've done more SLS. Yeah, I've done more SLS than I've done SLA or DLP. So it's more of what I want to go into. So I'm going to try and consolidate my fleet.
I'm with you on that one, actually, Miles, because we've been for a stocking, let's say, reason, and also from the cleanliness and the lack of space. I haven't actually done any stereolithography, DLP or whatever, and we've been looking at that, and we've just been working with a company to start selling our first, let's say, excursion into it. The Opiopolis, they are not cheap, but they've got quite a good reputation. There are some cheaper machines now that will give you just as good printing, and there's one that I'm trying to see where I can source it from. So I'll hold on to that one. But yeah, if you go onto our website, I mean, the ones we have are the Anycubic Photon and the Flash Forward Hunter. They're both two different ends of the scale, but the good thing with the DLPs is the moving parts are minimum, right? There's no moving parts, and that makes things so much quieter. It's just then you start having the smell.
Yeah, being in the room with those things is not good. You almost want, and I've been like, because I have like a cupboard downstairs that is my printing cave. This is the upstairs cave. That's the printing cave, right? So I've almost been trying to think, even with like, it's such a small room that even with like a PLA or a PETG, I can go in there and I'm like, smells like 3D printing, you know? So if I get an SLS or DLP machine, I'm almost thinking of like using one of those dryer extractors and like putting the tube out of my window, like fitting it to the window so I can just turn on an extraction fan, because it's probably going to be really bad there. I haven't used any SLA apart from the Formlabs, and those ones didn't actually seem so bad. So that's probably why it costs so much for their resin. Because when I like opened the resin bottles and stuff, I was like, I thought I'd be gagging at this from everything I hear on the internet about how it smelled, but it wasn't too bad.
That Anycubic resin printer looks really good for the price point.
For the price point, yes, it's very hard to beat. There's quite a few people that are using them now. And
3D Maker Noob Joe's got one. He absolutely swears by it. He loves it. He says for a lower cost one, it's a good quality machine. Everybody that I ask that's got SLA machines, they all say Moai, 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 Moai. That's what everybody says to me. But the only experience I've got with that type of printing is
no, so
turns. He asked me if I could fix it.
Yeah, you froze a little bit there, Tom. So
just repeat that, Tom, please.
Am I back? Can you see me?
Yeah, you're back.
The only experience is I had to fix one, an SLA printer once, and I just thought it stunk, and I've never ventured that way again. But I've heard good things about Moais and Photons.
Yeah, but when you can print like that, like you can, then you don't really need to do.
This one, Proto Pasta at 1.4 millimeter layer heights.
Wiggly known.
Crazy that.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys about the nylons. I've seen, like with the Matter Hackers, they introduced the nylon with a glass fiber, and they had the nylon X with a carbon fiber. How are your thoughts on nylons and how those materials, the nylon-based materials, have developed? Are you seeing a lot of change in nylons? Because we have touched on nylons a lot.
Well, I've got 2 nylons. It's funny you mentioned that. I've only ever printed a natural nylon, and then I've been asked by Filamentum to print like a manifold out of carbon CF15 nylon to display the TCT, but we're talking like 400 by 400 by 500, and I've never printed out that big in nylon, so I'm sort of playing with that at the minute, and it's really interesting. It's not warping, no enclosure or like that.
Is that on the farm bot, Tom?
Yeah, format. I just put a E3D hardened steel nozzle on it, 110 degrees on the silicone mat, 255 on the nozzle, and it's doing all right so far. But I'll be honest,
we were all wondering what you kept looking at.
That's what I keep looking at. I've never been so frightened in my life. Honestly, it's like I've been babysitting it for nearly 2 days now.
That's why you haven't been sleeping.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We decided we wanted to go with a nylon 12. It's a virgin nylon 12, and the reason for doing that is because nylons generally have the worst water absorption in polymers, followed very closely by PETG, believe it or not. So it's one of those things where, you know, you speak to various people that have got huge experience with it. The person I always asked about nylon was Daniel Noreye, because, you know, he was printing with nylons when before it was cool, sort of thing. So we went down with a 12. Again, for us, it's been mainly the enclosure. Now, talking about filling the nylon, that's where it becomes interesting, because the more you fill it, the less volume there is for water and humidity to be absorbed in, and that's where it can actually start making a lot more sense. So you start talking about carbon fibers or glass fibers, it becomes really interesting.
Yeah, no, for the
Oh, Martin,
There's a Martin now.
you lost your sound, mate.
So I guess, George, because there's certainly no, or there doesn't appear to be any advantage from a strength point of view.
No, there isn't.
But though, so I mean that does sound like a good advantage.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, see, you're coming down to a lot of the materials that we're seeing is hype, and let's not beat around the bush. You'll never be able to get the injection molded strength of a nylon in anything you do. An injection moldable nylon is not printable. So you start making your life a little bit easier, and then you start tweaking, and you're saying, well, what can we put in there? How much can we put of an additive? Early PLA was filled with calcium carbonate, which to me makes no sense at all, because that's hygroscopic as well. So, you know, all of these, you try to make something good out of it, you get the good results, and then you sell it as something else. So yeah, okay, you might get abrasion resistance out of the nylon, you might get some more functional parts out of the nylon, but ultimately it's still nylon, it's still plastic bags if you want. And it's 3D printed in layers.
I saw with nylon for the strength factor. I saw somebody on K printing the Liberator pistol and firing it, and just trying to figure out a way to 3D print it. It was quite funny. It was like a person who's like clearly only got into 3D printing for that aspect of the tech to do those kind of those 3D printed weapons. And let's just say it didn't go well for him. That was quite interesting. He's like, "This is I googled it, and this is what's really gonna work." It didn't work. He almost blew up his hand.
Yeah, is my audio on now?
Yeah,
He's back.
Yeah, I had some issues. Yeah, I was just saying about the nylon. Isn't the reason for putting in the carbon fiber and the glass to make the nylon stiffer?
You get that, yes. You get the stiffness, you get the hardness for sure. You get abrasion resistance potentially. That's the ultimate goal. I mean, you're trying to make a material that is engineering, a little bit more engineering capable. So you'll do that, and all of the other stuff that you get are bonuses.
Yeah, I know. When I was telling people I could print with carbon fiber filament, that sounded very cool to some people. If you say, "Yeah, I can print with carbon fiber."
I said that, and the person asked me, how come we want the same pattern? They always expect to see that gloss finish.
Yeah,
that perceived carbon fiber look, don't they? And I started looking in his face. It was like a full-on letdown.
Yeah, I was asked about the same, if it has the classic carbon fiber look, and I said no, it's just like a matte black.
Miles, you were on about matte black earlier. This is the one that George has. Chroma matte black.
Wait, I can't see what company that's from.
George, Envio.
Bio. Oh, okay.
I'll type it. It's I don't want to post a link to it. It's a bit too obvious in the chat, but you can look for PLA-MT.
I will be looking. Right.
It's good stuff. It prints at 210, just exactly like it says on the spool as well.
I tend to actually, on my Craftbot, I go lower. I mean, I've gone down to 195 with mine, and it gets really nice and matte there. Other printers will need a bit more, but it's a nice material.
Yeah, I was having trouble with my standard hot end on my Lulzbot TAS 6, and it was clogging all the time with some other material beforehand, and then it happened with yours. So then I was just like, right, I'll try 210, and 210 was just the sweet spot. So,
oh, sorry about
that. No, it's not your fault. It's a stupid printer. And I love this machine. It's like a workhorse. As much as the Zix Pluses that's printing that you can see on screen now, that is a workhorse that's been non-stop for 7 days at the moment.
Is that the standard? With that's the Pro. That's with
no, it's not the Pro.
bed.
No heated bed.
Oh, well done.
I printed Engine on that as well. No heated bed.
Done.
Is that regular engine, or is that expensive engine?
No, it's not that expensive stuff. Why do I put myself in this trap? It's that purple stuff from a company in the Netherlands.
No, but again, I've got no hate for them. The standard material, the engine, is a really good stuff. I've got a giant roll of Proto engine, and it's the Proto orange engine, and it really does. It prints clean. It prints nice. I'm not insulting it. I just just the other bit.
It's funny how we were talking about PLA PHA blend earlier, and I think I gave you a spool of that, didn't I, Tom? The big 2 kilo one.
Yeah, that's what I've got. I've got one of those, and I've got.
Unless you flogged it.
I have so many. Like, I've bought like 4 or 5 of those big 2.2 kilogram spools from Colorfab. I'm like, that's my go-to. Is I'm mostly doing I'm mostly doing aesthetic things, and I really hate changing filament, so I generally just leave like a big roll of black thing.
Is that the economy PLA, Miles, or the PLA PHA?
They do sales, and they include that in the sales. So you can get like, I think the most I picked up was like 10 kilos, and I think I paid like less than 70 quid.
Wow, that's
like,
good.
It was good.
That purple you were showing there, Ben, was that the one that you got the custom colour one?
Oh, this one? No, this one's just the standard purple engine.
That service that they do, right? We gave them a little bit of hate for the engine, right? Their color on demand service, I'm very much liking the look of. I'm gonna see if I can pick up one of their those like swatches they have at TPT. Because if I ever have a customer who wants a specific color, which I've had a couple times where I've had to like go shopping and try and find something that is a pro what they want. If I can get color on demand for a specific customer, if they're willing to pay for that volume,
that's my color on demand one.
That is what was the minimum order quantity for that, Ben?
One spool, 1 kilo, 2 kilo.
Two 1 kilo spools or a large spool. Yeah, that's it. That's the best thing about it, is that's the
wow.
Again, you can add stuff to it if you want to order a lot more. You can add stuff to it, glitters and pearls and so on. But for the basic RAL colours, two rolls, and that's minimum order, and regular shipping. And it's not exactly the same cost, but it's still it's still reasonably priced for the service that they're offering.
I'm just going to plug George's filament again, and if you want a good pink. Right, that's it, I'm done.
Thanks, Ben.
I just brought this for Miles, who doesn't like running out of filament. A 10 kilo roll.
Yes. Rav.
Do you do bicep curls with that, Tom?
No, I'm gonna bring this to TCT and give it to Miles. I want to see him print with this because honestly, I've thought 1,000 times, what am I going to print with this, and I've never ever.
How am I going to carry that home?
So
Miles, on the train.
You better bring a big bag.
I'm going to get stopped. I'm going, what is that, sir?
Yeah, you just have a printable printer to just feed that in.
What is that you're bringing into King's Cross late at night?
For life.
Right, gentlemen. I'm going to have to leave you. This has been so much fun. I hope to be able to join you again next time we do it.
That'll be after TCT.
Yeah, there'll be plenty to talk about as well. If I still have my voice when you all come and visit me, because I'll be on the stand with Bondtech, running around.
Avoid that stand.
Yeah, don't come for the stuff that we're giving away.
There's vouchers. I heard there's vouchers on Twitter today.
We've decided with Bondtech that we'll be giving out a discount voucher for Bondtech products. You've probably heard that nearly anybody who's anyone in the 3D printing world is putting a Bondtech extruder on their machine.
And there's a reason for it.
Yes, there is. Hey, Tom. On display, we will also have the aptly named tank, courtesy of Tom.
Love it.
And we should have a classic race 3D and a few other bits and bobs. And Martin and Henrik for Bondtech will be there. The stand will be branded Bondtech, so you won't be able to miss it. And it'll be an interesting corner because right next to us we've got Olson Ruby. Across the way we've got Ooznest and the guys that do the duet cards. So it'll be a nice little area.
That's where we're gonna go hang. That's a good.
I think you print it 3D.
Yeah, that's one. I know their names, but I can't remember their company. It was always.
It's almost like my tagline, so I can't forget it.
Yeah.
I want to Bondtech everything, mate. Honestly, after that Greg did. Greg, if you don't follow Greg on Twitter, you should search for Greg. It came the Bondtech for me. I'm not a hardware guy. I'm not like that at all. But this thing, honestly, God, it comes. You undo 2 bolts. I slid it on with a full E3D build, direct drive, and you get the same cables that go into the back of your box of your CR10. Twist it in, undo 4 screws, plug it into the main board, and it prints. And like I've said, I'm going to Bondtech both the Ender 3s. Now I know cost of what the printer is and what the cost of the upgrade is. To me, I don't care because of how it can print afterwards. If you take what it can do afterwards, you couldn't get that for 400 quid or whatever it is total cost for everything all in. So I'm quite happy with the Ender 3 now as a platform and to put Bondtech and a genuine E3D. All direct drive on it, just like mini tanks, so big tank, mini tank.
There's one thing that a gentleman has approached us. He's not from the UK, he's from Europe, but he approached us because his favorite machine has gone out of business and he wanted to be able to use the palette too with it, and he's very good at using it. In fact, he's one of the most talented user of the palette, and he approached us to do him a special using a CR10, turning that into direct drive with a Bondtech and also the Mosquito hot end. And that Mosquito hot end is looking to be quite good. I haven't actually had the chance to use one yet. I haven't had one in my hands yet, but speaking to the guys that designed it, full-on engineers, they've done their due diligence on their design, and I'm hoping that we will have some in time for the TCT for you guys to have a look. The one that we have on show is for Chris, also known as Chimpos Maximus, but the Magnums are for other people as well. So come and say hello. All right.
It does sound like a great option. I think that, and certainly turning the direct drive in. I mean, as you George knows, I've got the Bondtech conversion on my CR10, and I mean, you could probably pull the house across the garden with it. absolutely as strong as anything and just pulls all day long. It is really good. And it's
pulling the spool off at one.
easy install.
Yeah, I want to show you, Tom. Here's your favorite filament.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I didn't have to pay for this one. Qualified sent this.
He didn't pay for it. No wonder he's using it.
Yeah.
I've got the full range. Maybe that's why I'm using it, because it was free.
Yeah, I did a review on it, and
the Bondtech stuff, right? The first time I remember first seeing people post about Bondtech in the group all the time, and I was like, "You want how much for just an extruder?" Like, I'm looking at all kinds of extruders. I'm like, how can you justify this price? And then the first time I went to TCT, and Bondtech had quite a small. I wasn't sure if it was. I don't think it was Bondtech exhibiting. I think it was a reseller. They had like a very
George.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, top right hand side of it, we had basically in the startup zone just a shelf, and we had the BCN3D Sigma with a kit on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have. I think then we technically met before and forgotten each other.
Yeah, probably. Did somebody throw a piece of filament at you and ask you to pull it?
Yes, and it cut genuinely right. I'm trying to keep the filament, right? And I remember afterwards my arm actually hurting. I'm like, how have you got that much torque and that much power in that extruder? And that's when I first thought, right, this is expensive, but that's quality. If it can hurt my arm just from trying to stop it, when I've seen other extruders just skip on no pressure at all.
All right, gentlemen, it's been fun. I have to love you and leave you. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see as many of you as make it to TCT.
Yeah,
have a good night.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, George.
See you later, George.
Yeah, talking about the mosquito, I have one, and I still have to figure out either to find or create a mount for the CR10. I plan to put it on that. I haven't had time to do it actually.
There's like an E3D adapter. I've seen a user called Bill Divine on Twitter. He's got the CR10, and he mounted it with like an E3D adapter and put it straight on, and he's got a fan mount, and he seems to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I've seen that mount, but when I have time, I really want to just design my own direct mount without going through the E3D type of mount. But I know I have to spend some time in Fusion 360, and I have to allocate time to it.
Guessing that George will have a mount before too long for that, as he's now the UK supplier.
Yeah. If someone comes up with a mount, I'll use it. Yeah, but that will happen.
I once had a spool box mount, a spanner hands, spanner hands spool box. You'll have seen it, the latest one, the air enclosed filament box.
Yeah.
I had it wall mounted above the Prusa, and I had a roll of Chinese PLA in it that came with a printer. Yeah, that's it. Basically, one of those.
Yeah, this one.
and I had that wall mounted, and there was a twist in the Chinese filament, and obviously it jammed, and it put the Bondtech ripped the spool holder out of the wall, and it had 2-inch screws in the wall mount, and it pulled it straight out. Now I've got a bit of a weak arm when I'm screwing, but that's got some serious strength.
Yeah, on my MP, I had a filament jam with a sample spool, and I noticed something moving in the cabinet here. The printer had lifted itself up to the upper portion, so it basically lifted the printer before it never gave up.
I forgot what I was saying now.
Guys, I'm going to have to call it a night also. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and I'll catch you around.
Yeah.
See you just in 2
Thanks
weeks.
for tuning in.
See you guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, same.
I've only just had my breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, we have people dropping out. Yeah, yeah, it's been a good talk on the different types of filament. And for myself, I've started to test out more and more types of filaments just to try them out.
I've been playing with my Ninja Flex, thinking of all the money I spent on this.
I thought he had a guitar.
I'm more of a cello guy. I played the cello for a long time. I've been meaning to 3D print a cello. I've seen like I've seen like designs for a 3D printed cello. I gotta find the right design, and mainly I gotta figure out the electronics. I haven't like sat down and thought about the electronics because I've never like done electric guitars or anything, so I have no idea what things I need to do to get it to be electric.
Yeah, I've been printing out it's a ukulele, and it's a 2-part print. This one, and then I have this one. It's the same model, just sliced up for a smaller printer, and it's a 4-part print. I'm printing this for a friend, and I have no idea how to get the hardware to do the strings and such, because I have no musical background or instrumental background. But it's a fun project to print.
I'm trying to think if that would sound.
Yeah, it will be interesting to listen to it. But
I printed a flute once in Vertigo Galaxy and Gold Happens, and it was absolutely beautiful. It didn't work though.
yeah.
That's the key thing, isn't it?
It just sounded like somebody that had cold, just wheezing.
I think if I got like a really nice filament, it would be a lot of it. I might have to get like someone to sponsor it or something, and I could just like mount the amplifier on my back, put a wheel on the bottom, and then I could just literally like do a cool like walking around playing a 3D printed electric cello. It's one of the things that I can do. I played cello for a long time.
Definitely worth trying to find a way to use that then, isn't it?
Yeah, I might try and design my own one. I've been trying to mess around with Rhino recently, so because I find that I'm not up to date with design stuff. I still like keep like sliding back into using SketchUp, and SketchUp is terrible for 3D printing. But SketchUp is like the only 3D modeling program I'm like really good with.
A company that's got a lot of really good 3D modeling software. The name just escapes me. Autodesk, I think they're called.
All right, those guys. When I might go back to them when I see what happens to Project Escher. Like, no one will when I tweet about it, or when I like ask people, just like it goes silent. I don't know what's going on.
No.
You can't just like release a video of like a 6-head 3D printer and say this is coming and it's open source and not do anything, and then like shut down really cool products that lots of people use.
It's a bit strange.
They do too. Fusion 360 is great though.
It is. It's a very good tool.
I suck with it though. I suck with it so hard. I don't like sketches.
Fusion 360 for me, it's like I go into Tinkercad and let's just say I want to make a box. I can make a box in Tinkercad in like half a second. In Fusion, it takes me like 6 weeks just to make a box. It's just the process of it. I can see it's powerful and I see it's fantastic, but from walking into it from nothing, it's like, whoa, it's a scary place, is that thing, man. You can get lost in it for hours on end and you've drawn a line that's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you could definitely, a bit of practice and you can create them as.
I just find it's like the difference in thinking that you have to do when you're doing a sketch-based 3D modeling thing is very different. Because I don't think like that when I'm doing one. I think I'm just going to draw this one, shove this on there, shove that on there, and then I can tweak values. Like I've been messing with Rhino, and I'm finding that a lot more easy to pick up than Fusion.
Yeah, you can like drop in a box and a spear and such objects and just pull them in whatever direction in Fusion. But the thing about the beauty in Fusion for me is the parametric modeling, where you can just enter in the values on the sketch and extrude I found it really useful to models.
Design 90% of the time. I just find, again, it's a speed thing, and it is similar, I guess, to what Tom's saying, that you're working with the basic shapes and come from that. But if I'm doing anything that needs to start from a sketch, then Fusion is kind of my go-to, definitely. But I guess coming from an engineering background and coming from a subtractive manufacturing background as well, I'm used to working from 2D engineering drawings and knowing instinctively what that looks like 3D. So it does help, I think, having a background like that, and it means that I can, in my mind, I can see the shape that I need to draw to actually be able to extrude the shape that I need. And I guess that is a lot of barrier.
That's like the block. That's like the block when we mentioned. It's not a matter of using the software package itself. It's a matter of, can I understand what I am doing and the steps that I need to take to make this a thing? It's just like, I think like Google SketchUp 6 or 5 was the first 3D modeling software I used. I'm kind of showing my age. It's like I've used a lot of up-to-date tools, right? Whereas if you have to go back through older things where you're more restricted, it's so easy like for you to work in that. It's like training with weights on. Whereas I've just went straight onto the thing, and I'm floundering a little bit when I try to get in, and it's like Tom said. It's when I want to do something simple, like I'm not doing like multi-week modeling projects. I'm sort of doing single afternoon, 3-4 hours max, as long as I've sat down and modeled something that I've actually printed and used. And when I can't put together simple things, it just makes me want to stop. Just like, I can see why you'd use it for like an actual commercial use.
Just like you say, some of the tools that it's got, you would, to get certain shapes, then you would think, yeah, absolutely jump that way. But as I say, for me, 123D, even though it's out of support and you can't go online with it. As long as you've still got a copy of the executable, you can still run it on Windows.
I still use that.
I still find that's good for most of the stuff that I want to do. I did this week have a play with Tinkercad for the first time, basically because Tom asked me to do something, and I'd heard him talk before about it being quite good for working with STLs, so existing STLs imported and playing with them, and that is one area that I think 123D isn't great at. So I had a play with that, and I have to say that it kind of I just didn't have a clue what was going on. I was looking for tools that I'm used to seeing in pretty much every other CAD package that I've ever used, and couldn't see them. And I think I'd have to go back to basics and understand the concept, the way that tool works.
We're just completely flipped in our thinking of how to model in 3D.
Yeah, it seems, Tinkercad just doesn't seem intuitive to me, and it is, but as you say, it's kind of a historic reason. I think for me, I came from, back in the day, I can't even remember what version of AutoCAD it was, but I remember upgrading to AutoCAD 2000, which tells you when that was, and that you were literally typing in a command to, an L to do a line, and then telling it how far to do it and what angle, etc. Typing all this in. So it's it is a different thing. But I was trying to do simple things like put corner radiuses on onto something, and I just didn't have a clue. I couldn't see anywhere of doing that. So what I did in the end was I took the basic model that I'd modified in Tinkercad, exported it, and then imported it to 123D and finished the job in there.
How I do it says in the chat. This is for you guys. It's not for me because I don't understand it. I'm just reading it. It says one huge feature I want to see from F360 is the ability to import a mesh then Boolean subtract from my design. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a idea of like you can easily import STL in Tinkercad and modify it by drawing a box and subtract that shape from the other object. The issue with Fusion 360, it is really bad at handling imported STLs. You import as some B mesh or some kind of format, and it doesn't play well with the rest of the program. So if you have a detailed model and try to import it into Fusion, Fusion normally just crashes on it. So it's difficult to modify an existing STL in Fusion 360, where that seems to be more easy in Tinkercad when you can open an STL and draw a box or some shapes and subtract that model from the original XTL. If you like have some mechanical part, then you have to adjust it a little bit. It's difficult to do in Fusion 360.
3D Gusner asked me in the chat if I have a Slick 3R profile for Engine. I don't use that software. I only use Simplify 3D because I'm comfy with it. I was going to use that, and when I found out that I have to use that for MMU2, but there's a way that you can maybe do it with Simplify 3D. But we'll talk more about that later on. Well, when it comes, because it just makes me depressed that it's not here yet. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I've been waiting like nearly a year now, just under a year, 11.5 months. But again, I'm not bothered. I just so want it to come now because it looks amazing.
Yeah, Vicky is also saying that she's using Blender to modify STLs. So I haven't tried that.
Have you ever tried to learn Blender? Everyone out there who knows it, who's ever tried to learn Blender, like Blender does too many things. It's an amazing program, but like it's open source to the point that people just keep bolting things into it. It's just like a beast of a program. Like, you know, you can like video edit in Blender for some reason.
Yeah, but Vicky, that is in the chat, she actually wrote a book on how to use Blender in relations to 3D printing. So that could give you a good start to
use Blender. That's how to use it, because I remember trying to pick up Blender back when I was really I was trying to make assets for video games and mods that I was working on. This was the first time I was trying to get into 3D modeling before I had 3D printers and stuff. And just trying to like model small things in Blender took hours and hours and hours, just because it's this gargantuan program of just ridiculousness.
Yeah, I'm no good at it. I have it installed, but not very good at it.
Yeah, just back away slowly. I know when I'm beaten. I don't think I'd be a good like full-time modeler at things. I get too frustrated and antsy and want to just get up and do something else. It's just really good that we have the STL format. Wasn't there like a consortium that came together that was supposed to make a better STL format though? Does anyone remember that? I remember reading about that like 2 years ago, maybe a bit less. Like a 3D printing consortium that was supposed to make like a new file format to supersede STL. I wonder whatever happened to that. Anyone remember? No.
I haven't.
Not my world, isn't that?
No, I think I was trying to like figure out stuff to write articles about.
I mean, the answer would possibly be that slices in particular maybe start using step files or sat files.
But look at matter control. That matter control is like it's like a hybrid of Cura, Slick 3R, and Tinkercad sort of all rolled into one. And the reason why I use matter control is because I use it sometimes on the CR10 because you can design things within the slicer and then print them within the slicer. And I don't just mean you can do a square, you can do custom nameplates and that sort of thing. And the quality of the slicer is good, but the interface is fantastic. That's for me what puts me off other software is the interface. Like the Prusa edition of Slick 3R, that again, that has that nice interface. It's got the nice bed inside, but for me, nothing beats Simplify 3D for my use. And also, there's the update coming very soon, so it's only going to get better.
Does that take OBJ files as well?
Simplify 3D prints OBJs, yeah.
Because that's the, I mean, the standard for the slicers is to use STL files, but STL files, are awful for editing. As Matt said, you get in there and the mesh into Fusion. The same in 123D, it's not very good. Sometimes, and there seems to be now a rhyme or reason to it, but sometimes you'll think, okay, I'll just put this in and I'll subtract a cube from it. Oh, great, it works. Other times, no, it will not do anything about it. And you just wonder if it's a SAT file, it works perfectly every time. If the slicers use them, then everything will be good. So I guess you'd need the engine to do the conversion within the slicer as well, to convert it to a mesh.
Yeah, normally if I need to edit still, I use Mesh Mixer to cut it into shape and export it back into STL.
It blows my mind every time I open it.
Yeah, it's a strange program, but
how I do it is if we're still streaming in half an hour, he might jump on when he gets home.
Yeah, okay.
I've got no issue with being here for an extra half an hour, no problem.
Yeah, we can hang around just as long as we want to.
I just want this skull to finish so I can show Miles.
Yeah.
I want to show him it here.
Last time, Matt.
What's that?
So you should be fine to finish that. But we were on for what, 4 hours last time, Martin?
Yeah, we were for 4.5 hours. That was crazy.
Yeah, I went back to watch I went back afterwards, and the video's like they streamed for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
I thought that when Martin said it at the end of it, I'm like, oh, I'm going then. No, that's it. That's too much.
I'd gone, watched TV, gone to sleep when you were still streaming. No, it's one thing, and I hope they're at TCT this year. Is I really want to grab them and just be like, why you no do this? The M-Core machines, right, with the paper printing, and they must have a pattern on that because they're the only ones that do it. It layers paper and then glues it together, so it almost comes out as hard as wood. It's so cool. If you they've definitely been at TCT. I have to check if they're on the list of vendors. And it was supposed to come out for like $6 grand, ended up being like 16 grand.
Maybe why I'm not.
It was. I can see why, but it was just so good. It was like full color paper 3D printing, and I was like seriously thinking about it at $6 grand. I was like, I could definitely take out a loan and buy this and have a good business around just that machine. And when it was 16 grand, I didn't want to borrow that much money.
Does it cut the paper and lays it down?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think
because that's like
cool. Just one picture of it. Yeah.
And it prints just on the outside. So like on the outside of the shit, it will print in like just traditional ink round the outside, then cut that shape out, then glue then like layer glue on top of it, and then put the next sheet on top of it and continue like that. So you have a full color thing. They must have like a pattern on it because they're the only people that do it, so they must have that. But it's an Irish company, I believe. It was EU, but it was. I just like that still to this day. Even when I've like gone and seen Desktop Metal and the HP Fusion Jet machines, I'm not an engineer, so I'm more interested in the art of the print itself. holding that and thinking this is paper, it was truly strange but beautiful at the same time. You could just do so much cool stuff. You know, if you got some like really nice photogrammetry, you know, you have the color if you do a photogrammetry scan.
Yeah.
You can just print a just straight up replica of things. It was so cool. Like I remember there was a roadmap to an even cheaper machine, because I remember their last machine was like $70,000 or $80,000. So hopefully it comes down to us soon, because that is the printing material that I don't see and I'm excited about.
Yeah, I think you can order from Shapeways or some company, like a commercial company. It's like a laser sintered material that can be full color. So you can
sandstone. I'm pretty sure it's sandstone.
Yeah, sandstone. Yeah, that's
on some $7 million machine in a $50 million warehouse.
Yeah. so that technology is available. It's just not for the
not for us plebs, not
the home use. yeah. I think Vicky has a print that she made an order. Yeah, it's on powder printing.
Some powder and color.
Yeah, it's amazing how like what can be done with, like I saw like a commercial on Twitter, I think, from HP. They were doing full metal 3D printing.
Yeah, their fusion stuff is crazy. That would I forget what the brand name is, but I remember last year TCT just picking that up and being like, they had the full machine. They didn't have it running though. They had a big booth. I mean, it's HP. They got money, so they can get a really big booth. But they just had such cool stuff coming out of this. And I keep seeing on Twitter their tech being used for more and more things. So, you know, I've been seeing like a lot more, like with the metal stuff, especially a lot more heavy industry. You know, you guys seen those things like this train company, this airplane company, this, you know, brackets, and they're doing like serious industrial level hard industry stuff, you know, rather than having to do it abroad.
There's quite a few, to be honest, and it's I mean, in the aircraft industry, the Airbus are big users of 3D printing in jig tooling for like aircraft, but it's not, you know, it's not FDM that they're using typically, but certainly there's a couple of companies that do pretty amazing stuff.
Vauxhall does FDM jigs with Ultimakers. That was a big partnership that they announced a couple months ago.
How do you use tons of printing?
Oh, you dropped out there. Tons and tons of.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you use it in the manufacture process of the building of the cars? You know, the jigs for putting all the stuff on for the different cars to make it sort of streamlined. They have the printing process now is in-house, and they can just tool up instantly, basically overnight. They can bring a new model in and tool for it overnight and print. I've seen some amazing stuff from that place. I haven't personally been, but I'm a car fanatic and a printing fanatic. So if you put the two together, then I'm there.
That is the real advantage of it, because typically in the past you were talking weeks to put a new tool together, whereas now you can do it, you know, maybe not overnight, but it's maybe going to take 2 days.
Depends what you're printing it with.
Here's a question for you guys, right? With DLP especially coming down in price and more liquid polymers becoming more available to us, why are all the beds for those so small? I know a lot of them are using like phone screens, like they're buying OEM phone screens, 1440p ones, 4K ones on some of them, and putting them in the vats. Like, why is there not like a 10-inch tablet screen that's like for a much bigger vat? I've not seen those on any machine from any company.
You'll see it soon. I think Moai are doing a big build volume one.
but they're doing it. I get that because they're using the SLA and the galvanometers, right? Whereas the DLP is using a screen, so it's like they're always phone size, and I think that's just because they can go into those display markets and pick up already made displays for them.
Yeah, because rather than a custom display, it'll be a bit more sort of off the shelf, easier. But like you say, if there's a phone screen on the shelf, there's also there's an iPad screen on the shelf.
Yeah, like where's that? Because honestly, that's like one of the main things that stopped me just like jumping on like a Spark phone or or a Proton or things like. Yeah, I like this, but it's like really small, and I don't really print really small.
Yeah, Matt points out also the cost of the resin. Maybe quite expensive to print big things with a resin printer. So if you need small, high detail objects, the resin printers are good for that. But if you need bigger, more bulky objects, then FDM might be the sweet spot.
SLS, I think, is where most of the high-end machines are in that.
Yeah. Sinter S2, I'm like, can never afford one. So I'm like excited about that. I've been like going on their website and following their updates, the future of SLS. Because after working at 3D Print UK, like shout out to those guys. It's like if you ever need some don't forget that you can have SLS at your fingertips through companies like 3D Print UK. You know, they will do like small one-off things and up to like big boxes of things. I remember we did like 800 or 900 vape cases for one guy's order, just stacking it like we're a factory out of China, just bang, 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 all these SLS parts. So bear that in mind if you ever need SLS parts. But like having an SLS machine of like that quality in a sort of prosumer or small business environment is nuts to me.
Yeah, it's with a powder based. It's at least not for me. My space here is just in the living room, and having a resin printer or a powder based printer, it's you have to have a dedicated like a facility for it.
You do not want that stuff is crazy. I really enjoyed working there. They're great guys, and I had such a good time there. It was just the right kind of atmosphere. But every time I came home, I was like, I started to not care after a while. But for the first like week or so, I felt like the crackhead in the Dave Chappelle skit when he just sprinkles the crack over him. So I'm like just sitting on the train, tired, going home, and I'm like, I'm still covered in nylon. I'm coming through the door and like making sure I shake off all the nylon. I'm still finding nylon just in my clothes and around. I just couldn't get rid of it. So yeah, it's a great tech, but you don't want that around you.
So a little off point. Maker coins are my thing. And George from MVO, he posted his maker coin on Twitter earlier. So I've just printed it. It's just finished. It's just come off the bed. And when it comes off, it looks like this. So when it's there, it's sat there, and that's the logo, and the center spins. So I thought the outside spun as well, and the tolerances, and it were fused, but it won't. If you watch, it screws. Look at this. So you have the outer ring, and then the center ring with the flicker in it, and it all prints in place with a logo on both sides.
Yeah, cool.
Nuts.
Neat that. That's clever. That I like that.
And out for multicolor.
Do that, and if you do that with the if you got the first gen multi-material, that would look so good with that.
I've got palette. I don't have first gen. It's a Y splitter causes things, but I've got palette. Random color mode would look cool.
That would be so cool. That is one of the best maker coin designs I've seen. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's nice.
Because I've been people have been coming to me for years saying, why don't you start a 3D printing business? And the main reason I haven't is one, the move that 3D Hubs did the other day that upset everyone. If you guys know about that, I saw that coming from a long time ago. It's like you could see the volume. If you go on 3D Hubs and like look at the hubs, you can see that like the one hub will have like 2 reviews and one hub will have like 900 reviews. and you can. I've just seen that gap widen and widen and widen and widen, and the hubs on there are all just businesses. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be like it all coalesced into like big blocks of people who were just doing all of the volume. And the only kind of way I would think of doing like a bureau is if I could do stuff like have the paper printer from MCore and a SLS machine. I would never really want to do a bureau with FDM. Maybe SLS, not SLA with the form cell. I believe they're like custom robotic arm that does all of the print changing and things. It just when I put it on paper, I'm like, this is not really gonna work for me in the way that I would want to run it. You know, it didn't make sense to me. So things coming down to like achievable for a small business is what's really exciting me, and it is a material thing. The paper and the SLS is what interests me a lot.
I always think that I would love to do 3D printing full time. As I do manage to do some at work, but I remember in the days when I was in engineering, and I really loved using computers, and would spend all my spare time using computers. And now I work in IT, and I would rather not touch one ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't want to get to that point with 3D printing as well. I enjoy it as a hobby, and I think I'm good. Oh look, pinch finish.
Go and see. Let's see this magic from that company. It's good. See, come on, guys. Like, all you have to do is admit what you did and say, so that's beautiful. That is really nice. I'm upset how nice that is.
Yeah, you have to talk Tom to get the camera to be fixed on you.
I thought you were going to say talk to Tivo and get him to send Miles a printer, because I can say hello from Miles.
Do you know how many printers they've tried to send me?
I can imagine.
Like 7 or 8. 7 or 8 different times they've been trying to send me things. I think they think it will make me stop, and I'm not going to.
It runs deep.
It runs deep because I care. That is the thing. I will go off on people, and I will get really upset with people, and I will just call out people and name and shame people, because the collaborative nature of this community is really something that I believe in, something that I respect. I didn't understand it. I remember when I'm first looking at the 3D printing community, I'm like, wait a minute. All of these people are giving away their files for free. All of these people are sharing all of their designs for their printers for free. It just didn't make sense to me in everything that I had been taught and understood about business. Like, why would you do this? And then I see how it works, and I see how it enables that collaboration. And the community was always so like, when the 3D printing group, you know, I didn't start. Yeah, I just joined it like everyone else. And whenever people disrupted that creative space, because there was so many interesting creative people in that space, and I just loved spending time in there. So whenever anyone just disrupted that space, I just freaking went ham on them. I'm like, you need to be gone. Like, just crucify this person who's just disrupting the order of the space. So that is why I care so much about it. It's not that I just like being mean to people on the internet.
No, I think that's quite clear, because before these live streams, I didn't really know you. I knew of you on Facebook. I'd seen some of your fantastic responses, if I'm honest. And like, I've got the TiVo, and there's a lot of people out there that their passion sort of becomes hatred, where they'll hate on me because I've got TiVo and TiVo gave me it. But you clearly don't have that. You have an issue, but you state what your issue is, which is, I think, a lot of the problem sometimes. A lot of people just sort of shout or hide behind you say you feel is right, and you're not being offensive. So I don't think anyone would think any bad of you.
Oh, I'm not being offensive because I try to behave in 3D printing. The rest of the internet's a mess. You know, I was on like I said earlier with the nylon on K. There's so many interesting discussions and threads that I am not so nice in, but it's like a different environment. That's a different community. So you have to be appropriate for your community. Plus, it's way easier to just spam gifts than actually type to people sometimes. You know how many people I have to type to every day? It's too many. And I'll only get mad at people when people tell me I get paid for things and I'm like being bribed for stuff. It's annoying because I'm like, I turned down so much money, and so many nice things that I've wanted. Someone's like, if you just let me like have the pinned post for 3 weeks, you can have all this money. And I'm like, we're not like it distracts from the space. It distracts from the environment that we're trying to build. And that's what's really important to me. And that's what's important to everyone else on the team. But like when you're turning down 5 zeros, it's not nice.
It's like some of the levels that they go to. Like I run a small Facebook group, and I've been offered printers for like logins to the Facebook. Can you give us the login to the Facebook for 2 weeks, and we'll send you 3 or 4 printers? And it's like, what?
Oh, they would steal your Facebook group, by the way, if they do that. Just heads up. If anyone's joining a Facebook group, they're gonna steal your Facebook group.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. No, we're show and tell, so we're just about the print, about sharing the print, everyone enjoying it. We're not advertising. We don't have any companies in there unless they're sharing a print that they've done. And again, there's no links or up like that.
And exactly, there are so many. Like I wouldn't expect. I think we must have 30 or 40 companies who regularly post representatives of those companies in the Facebook group. No one else got a warning. No one else has ever even got a warning.
It's not difficult to stay within the rules, is it? For these companies?
No, and you don't need to send letters to my house either, people.
And, show us something interesting, and then we're happy to see what you've got to offer. But yeah, there's sometimes some of the stuff.
A person sent a physical letter to my house like a couple of weeks ago. A physical letter with a detailed complaint of why they don't like me and why they don't like what I've done.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was like almost impressed. I was like, so you found where I live, you physically wrote a letter and sent it to me. It was a long letter too, so you know who you are.
Right, I've got to keep off for 10 minutes. I'll just unplug my mic. I'll just leave this on because I won't be able to get it back on again, knowing me. So yeah, I'll be back in 10 minutes. So if you're still here, if not, I'll see you again.
Yeah.
I was saying the thing that I think amazes me at times is the number of people from the same company that you get. Mentioning no names, GearBest, but you will literally get absolutely spammed to death by 20 people who are all and they're asking the exact same thing every time.
Yeah, but the GearBest people, right? GearBest is a divisive business, I think, in our space. A lot of people like them. A lot of people don't like them. I think from a consumer point of view, I've bought both related and non-related 3D printing related stuff from GearBest. The worst thing they have is their customer support. But funnily enough, through the Facebook group, I can literally, like, rather than try and go through their customer support thing, I just go, hey, to this person on Facebook. So that actually has a lot of utility of having them in there. And every person from GearBest who we've ever had to speak to for like, can you like chill? They're like, oh, cool. I didn't understand. Yeah, no problem. And they do.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, we're happy for you to be in here, and we're happy for commercial interests to be within the group because it's going to be. It's not a place where all commercial enterprise is banned. It's a place where commercial things are beneficial to the overall experience rather than a hindrance to it. You know, it's not a meeting room with billboards plastered in it. It's a room where the person comes and sits and says, "Oh, you're having this problem. Well, I do actually have this product that can solve your problem." There's so many, like a perfect example of a person who personifies this attitude is Rab from Filamentv, right? He has a 3D printing company. He has a filament company. He makes good filament. We've all used it, I'm guessing, at this point. But he's in there actually helping people all the time.
Yep.
Like, genuinely, he's like, I don't know how to print this. And it won't even be his filament sometimes. He'll just be like, oh, I know, because I'm an expert on filament because I make the stuff. And he contributes to that community.
Yeah, it's part of the community.
Yeah. So he's not just trying to sell you stuff. And that's why whenever Rab is like, hey, Miles, can I have like a sneaky, like, I want to post this. I go, yeah. And some other people wouldn't get away with it because they don't contribute. So the more you contribute, the more I'm like, this is technically a sale thing. Like, okay, just don't print, like, don't post directly to the buy now, but like you can post around that. It's fine.
Yeah, Chris was asking what Facebook group is it? Just called 3D printing. That's
yeah. We don't have a good URL because it was made like in 2010.
Yeah, so
just search 3D printing. It's 72,000 people, 72,100. Too many people.
Yeah, I had a question because you're playing with a TPU, and I have a all of the TPU. Really, only thing I printed with it was this Stadio, just to show it off. You can bend it. But what are the most use cases that you're having with a TPU? Like, are you doing some gaskets or some mechanical parts, or just things like that for fun?
What I wanted to use this for, which I still haven't been able to use it for, probably 2 years later. To be fair, this is really soft. This is NinjaFlex 85A. This is really quite soft for 3D printing TPUs. I should have picked up the cheater instead. I wanted to use it for like functional bends in 3D printed armor because a lot of the things I wanted to do in 3D printing were cosplay and video game related. That was kind of I was like, oh, I can use this for this thing I already like. And now I'm more interested in the technology itself and stuff, but I still like to do that stuff when I can. And I got like a bunch of half printed stuff, really, to be fair. I wanted to basically print folds so I could like leave a space so I could like do an indent in the model that was already existed, indent it, and I could put the flexible, glue it in there, so then I could do like precise rubber joints.
Yeah,
okay. Have in my armor, and like it can move around rather than just sticking. Like as most other cosplayers who like have a big armor suit thing, they're like looks good in a video game or looks good on film, but doesn't look as cool in real life if you're just walking around the convention center. They generally just put like a black t-shirt and like leotard or something underneath it and try and mask out that they're standing there. But if you have like a shell that's bonded to it, then it works a lot better.
So it's like a functional use for cosplay items.
Yeah, I wanted it in black, but they only had it in white at the sale price. I think I paid like £30 for this, so I didn't pay too much. It's not too much wasted money, but it's still decent. It's still decent. I could have got like a more economy rolls from Colorfab.
Have you looked at the Dave Shorey technique of printing straight onto fabric?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it at Earth. It was quite amazing how he was like printing a few layers and then embed the material and then continue printing. So it was fused into the parts. It was really cool.
Well worked. I've seen it used for lots of cosplay stuff now. Loads of people are using it, but it could do what you're talking about there, Mars. I think it could certainly serve in that area as well.
Yeah, I need to get either multi-material or something that I can. I didn't even know at the time when I bought this that you could just straight up fuse flexible and rigid together. That's how long ago I actually bought this.
Yeah, I made the order for the pallet too, and when it was announced a few weeks ago, and one of the things that the owner was showing off, he printed like a wristband for his watch, and
Oh yeah, the Apple Watch, yeah.
yeah, and he embedded a PLA part inside the TPU wristband, and had the model enclose the PLA like a base part or a base plate, and then the hard PLA was sticking out to fasten the arm. So there was a true multi-material use with a TPU.
Whoever's getting Martin, you gotta put those on Etsy. Those will go mad on Etsy. You'll buy some more Prushas.
So sorry, what? Yeah.
Etsy, like if you one thing I've always thought to do is if you take the bands, right? If we're doing multi-material stuff, you got to make it easy for noobs, right? So you just take the outside profile from the STL, right? Export that as lines. Then you have those in a PDF people can download. Then they can like draw on what they want, and then just do the color codes of if you want this rigid and this, just color in this part rigid, this part flexible. Then they can pick the colors and run through the Etsy shop. People, you see the price of those Apple Watch bands, you could charge what Apple charges retail for those bands custom printed and make good money on every band.
Yeah.
People, I feel like people on Etsy would go mad for that. So that's a free one. That's a free one for you and anyone in the chat who's got multi-material capabilities. Those Apple Watch bands, people will pay money for them, and if you give them the ability to easily make custom ones, they will buy.
I am tempted by the MMU2. I think it does look good. I need to upgrade one of my Prushas to 2.5 to actually be able to use it, but I think that's probably what I want to do. I am going to do that at work. I've already got 2.5 on the one at work, so I think I'm going to do that. It's just, as you say, the multicolour thing's great, and I would, don't get me wrong, I will definitely use multicolour. But when you go multi-material and that TPU and kind of flex and PLAs and or pensioners, etc., combining them is good. The soluble supports, again, another fantastic use for it. I think that's really where you really, your imagination is the only limit.
I've not played with this. I really want to play with this, especially I saw on the MMU video that Prusha put out, just having soluble support interface layers to save that very expensive PVA.
That does look good, doesn't it? I've played with it, and literally it was played with it because of the issues with the machine. But I played with it at work. We did a test print, and sure enough, you leave it soaking in water overnight and come back and it's all disappeared. That was with the Form Futura stuff, which his name completely escapes me. But yeah, it does what it says on the tin, definitely.
Yeah, and also I think E3D has I think they call it scaffolding. Yeah, that's material that is easy to break away, so you can use that as for support. And I look forward to try it out.
I've not tried any of the E3D materials. I love you guys at E3D, but your filament's expensive.
I think did Polymaker not do one as well that peels away? Probably called Polysport and Polymaker, but I think they do one that peels away as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure with Polymakers.
I tried the polisher out at TCT last year. That was great. and it's like right at the good price point where it's not too expensive, and the material wasn't so expensive. That's the thing. It's like that's what will stop me from buying something. It's like high ongoing costs. You can save and buy something once, but then it's like I don't want to be thinking about how much a print costs when I'm printing it for fun. That's why I only use that's why I buy color fab, I buy the economy rolls, and I buy them on sale. Then I just don't think about things. It's like I print things for a friend. Like I printed I think I got like the fail one. I printed this like thing for this guy's Nintendo Switch. It's like the tiniest print ever, right? And it like had a bunch of utility for him. It's like to go in the dock of his Nintendo Switch. And I just printed like 10 of them for him, put them all in an envelope, second class stamp, and it was gone. It's like I didn't have to think. Oh, and he's like, oh, do you want money for this? And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, you're spending your material and your time and stuff. And I'm like, well, you're my friend, so I don't mind doing something for you. And material, and I worked it out from the color from the 2.2 kilogram roll I have, and it was like 8 pence cost to me. Like the envelope cost more than the plastic itself. So it's like for just for fun 3D printing, it's like I can't like having like soluble supports, like the interface layer thing is what sold me on it, because I remember first seeing soluble supports on Sigma. I think it was a Sigma. Like I first saw somebody print it on YouTube with a soluble support, and it's like, oh yeah, but I used like 60 grams of PVA. I'm like, worked out. It's like, oh, that was a lot of money. Like, you wouldn't just casually spend £8, £12, £16. Like you can't just like do that.
Yeah, I saw some videos with when the Ultimaker 3, the dual extruder system on those, and they were doing some videos with the PVA supports, and they printed out some prints, and it had a lot of supports, and I was thinking the same when I looked at the price. That's a huge amount of money to get the print.
You look at the price of the roll.
I was looking at doing a print, and I weighed up the support, and literally it was the weight, so it was the amount, and they sell, because it's expensive, they sell it in really small amounts on the spool. And I was looking at it and going, oof, and it was on the BCN Sigmax. So in theory it should have just worked fine, but when I actually checked it in Cura, it was double the amount of material that's on the spool, and I'm just like, oh, that just starts getting to be a pain.
Exactly.
But yeah, as you say, if you could click to the point where you're actually using the cheapest PLA you've got, basically to build up as much of that support as you can, and then a nice little interface works great. Incidentally, the Form Futura stuff, for the record, is called Atlas. That was the stuff that I was using, and it's kind of like a pinky color, and it looks when it dissolves, it looks like blancmange. So, but I wouldn't advise eating it.
Yeah, if it rolls 50 quid or 60 quid or 70 quid, when I'm thinking, okay, I can get a lot of utility out of that roll, I'll put it up. I don't mind paying a large amount of money for a material, but I gotta get good mileage out of that material. I can't just be like printing it like it's PLA. It's just not gonna work. I just can't justify it.
No. I think what you were just saying as well is definitely the point, though, isn't it? And I'm fortunate. I get a lot of free filament, so I can't remember the last time that I set a print off and I was worried about the fact that it might fail and I'd lose all that filament. I worry that it's going to fail because I want it done for a certain day, or I'd really like to take nice photos of it, but I'm going to do that and I might lose £30 worth of filament isn't something that ever bothers me anymore. But I can see definitely how if you've not got an awful lot of filament and you have to pay for it all yourself, then immediately you would be starting to get nervous about it. And as soon as you add something in like this that's prohibitively expensive, and the stuff that we were discussing with Tom earlier, the Lux stuff, then you really wouldn't want to be doing anything.
Yeah, if I had a big failed print with engine locks, I might cry.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's the same with like a Vertigo Galaxy and the Vertigo Gray and all those like Proto pasta filaments that they are like special stuff, and you don't want to take any chances.
Yeah,
because
it's like you see, like you have like a £15 fail, and £15 isn't that much money. But like, do you know how much good video games I can buy for £15? I buy like 2 or 3 good video games these days. There's some good stuff. It's like it's not about the money. It's the fact that I feel like I just burnt the money. It's okay to spend money on something, but like the idea of just money evaporating just hurts me inside. It's just no.
But the flip side of that is like, how quickly could you spend that in a pub? You know, so it's like
I would not be like I do not drink very well. You'll see a TCP. If I'm going to drink, I'm drinking very small amounts because £15 can get me wasted.
Living that in London, surely that will only get you for 50.
In London, yeah.
Yeah, it's come to think of it in that respect, like here in Reykjavik, it's very expensive to go downtown and have drinks, and you spend a lot of money very quickly.
Ian, right? When I was at uni, I remember Norwegians from their really expensive currency, like pints. Apparently in Norway are like £12 for some reason. So they were coming down and buying like £7 pints in posh Kingston pubs and thinking, this is like Weatherspoons. This is amazing. And I just remember looking at them like, you're insane. Like I got invited out like with a group of them, and it's like, I really like you guys, but we can't drink here next time. I spent like 20 quid. I can't do this.
I used to. It's a little bit different up in Ayrshire, in Scotland. But I used to, if we were coming up and say we had a customer, not a customer, a supplier coming up to meet with us, and we'd have we'd go out the evening before. I knew which pub I could take them to for my round, and then we'd go somewhere else for their round. It's the one that for my round, the mixers are sat on the bar, and you pour them yourself.
Wow, that's not a thing that happens down south. You did not get that. That would be abused.
You wouldn't abuse it in there.
That would get abused down here. You see the video of that guy during the London Bridge attack who still took his pint with him? That's London peak. He's like, I paid £8 for this pint. I don't care if people are dying behind me. I'm taking this with me.
Doesn't surprise me, to be fair.
That was so funny.
Yeah, I was just looking, like a beer at a pub here is a normal price for a normal beer is like £8.
What?
Yeah.
You got a moon? You got like a good moonshine industry in Iceland?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I imagine you do.
Yeah, yeah, we have our own brand of moonshine.
Yeah, I imagine you do. Yeah, Iceland's cool. Iceland's a place I've got to visit. Iceland. It's just one of those places that's just completely foreign, but so close.
Yeah. It's only like it's less than a 3-hour flight from Gatwick or Heathrow. It's like 2 hours 45 minutes.
Dang, it's taking me 2 hours to get to Birmingham to go to TCT. Might as well take the extra hour and go to Iceland.
Yeah, and the thing is, the flight prices are pretty cheap with the low fare airlines, but everything in Iceland is expensive. So it's
so close.
Yeah.
I could obviously I could get to Iceland and back again by the time I get to TCT.
Yeah, you're coming from Scotland. That's a trek for you. I got a quick train that leaves every. There's a train from London into Birmingham in like every 20 minutes.
Happy days. train with the boots for me because obviously, you know, I need a big bag to carry all these stickers back. So, you know, I'll need the boot with a car for that.
I'm gonna have to make sure I bring an extra bag with me now. Okay.
Tom brings that big spool for you.
I'm super happy if I get to have that spool because that's a cool spool. I'm probably gonna be using that for like a year or two, but I gotta get that home.
Yeah, we have a American invasion on the stream. So Matt has joined us.
The Americans are coming. The Americans are coming.
Yeah,
He's definitely American. You hear that? Ooh.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
All right. Is audio and are you guys getting any feedback from me?
Yeah, audio is good.
You're all good.
Yeah, we've been going for more than 2 hours. We were 4.5 hours last time.
I'm gonna have to duck out because I'm being summoned by various people, and I told them that I would be there 5 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to talk fidget spinners, Miles.
Oh, we're gonna talk fidget spinners.
It's got a TiVo machine printing fidget spinners.
Yeah, I got the TiVo tarantula up there. I should print some fidget spinners, Miles.
Oh, gosh. You see what happens when I let people know why I like it. I like fidget spinners, for the record. I literally have ADHD, as you can tell if you watch my window for longer than 3 seconds on this stream. I really enjoy 3D fidget spinners, and the 3D print group ruined them for me. So much beef. People were less mad about the election than fidget spinners, which made no sense. Like cleaning up fidget spinner posts was harder than cleaning up posts where people were just 3D printing Trump heads and then Hillary heads and Trump heads and Hillary heads and fighting about it.
Yeah, I actually missed the fidget spinner craze because when I got my 3D printer last year, the fidget spinner thing was dying. So I never got into printing 3D printing fidget spinners. But while I was waiting for my Prusa, I designed a few of them in Fusion 360, but never printed them out.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of it here in the States. I knew as soon as the public schools were out for the summer, that was going to be it. And sure enough, that's it. They lasted for about a month after that. Never heard anything more locally about them again.
Yeah, and also it was selling everywhere. Like even here, you could buy a fidget spinner in the pharmacy. So
yeah, it's funny. Like the gas stations and everything now still have them, and it's like they are dirt cheap. If I was still making them when they were selling, there's no way I'd be able to compete with the prices now.
Yeah. And then
they're cheap bearings now.
Yeah, now you can buy them just for the bearings if you have a skateboard.
Make some windmills. That's the new thing, right?
Yeah. I was gutted. I actually broke my last one that I was sat trying to wind Miles up with last time we were on, and it got thrown across the back garden. And unfortunately,
you're telling me the hex worked.
Yeah, exactly. You got me.
Because it's just it's like again, it's like I think the most toxic time in the community was the fidget spinner thing, because people just got so angry, uncontrollably angry. And after like the American election, when that was finally over, and I was like, hopefully people are going to stop wanting to kill each other now over this. And it was just like ridiculous to me. I thought nothing will peak this in toxicity. I thought, right, and it had to be me to like just ram like, do not post your political things here, please, because I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm British. I just don't care. And if the other mods did it, especially the American ones, they would be seen as taking a side in that argument. So I was just like, everyone, the only acceptable political candidate in the 3D printing group that you can post is the Cookie Monster, because I personally vote for him. every time.
Yeah.
Because the monster has never lied to me in his manifesto, not once.
It is funny to sit back and kind of watch the Facebook group, your group, Miles, go from one fad. Everybody's like, "Oh, this thing is incredible," to "This is the most horrible thing." Quit posting it. It's funny to watch that whole evolution go through the Facebook group.
Yeah, because I never wanted to ban it. I think I don't like banning things in the discussion, especially on topic that I remember having quite, I think, the most heated arguments we've ever had in the mod admin chat. And I was just like, because we get on so great, you know, Ben, Tess, Alex, Travis, the whole team. It's a very, we're friends. Like, we can hang out in the bar together. We that's the only reason it works. God. And the thing is, like, I was the person who was most against banning it, because I'm like, it's on topic. Like, they are 3D printing cool fidget spinners, but it's like, but every thread turns to cancer every single time.
Yeah, I can imagine doing what you do with that group, with what the group of yous do, modding that whole group.
It's ridiculous.
It's a 24/7 job.
Scary number.
Yeah. We had to make sure we got people more time zones. We're doing okay now. Like, we're fighting over who gets to delete the post first. Like, I'm like, it happens quite a lot where someone will report something. I'll be like, my turn, bang. Right, can I have a look at this? Been up for 1 minute. Click, mute, get rid of, like, decide whether I'm going to mute the person or get rid of them, and someone else has already done it in that time. So we're good. But like the next admin next admin we're bringing on board has to be in like GMT time zone. I'm like on my own in the middle of the world. Like, Tess and Alex are in Australia. The rest of the guys are all in America. And it's just me stuck in the middle. But when they're all, it works out. It works out because it's like one of the others, like some people from the other side are still awake most of the time. But there's been a couple of times where some really bad stuff has gone down right as both sides are like going to bed or waking up, and I'm just like, I'm in the middle of this 6 threads, and I don't like shutting down conversation.
Right.
I won't just nuke threads. Like, you'll see if you can see like the stats for the moderation, it's like, if you look at like the number of bans, like Miles is all the way at the bottom, and like other people just bang, bang, bang. They're just like, die. Whereas I like, it's gotta be able to talk. Because I got made the mod. It made the mod for having like a 3-hour argument about printing guns. And the argument ended up getting so toxic that me and the people I was arguing against both combined together and argued against the people who were just complete crazies.
Yeah.
Like, we disagree on this thing, but this person is insane. Like, that argument, I got to be the mod because of an argument. I never asked to be the mod. It's just like, yep, you're mod now. That was back in the Wild West days of the group before we had a lot more structure.
Yeah, you had a knack for catching the crazies.
I'm crazy. Like, I can have a 3-hour argument on 4chan. Like, a Facebook group is nothing to me. You know? You ever seen 4chan arguments?
No.
You don't want to see 4chan arguments. It's a completely different level of crazy. It's like, it's like, as soon as the whole Cody Wilson thing came out and he like was allowed to post his files again, I was getting messages from Facebook employees like, you're the biggest 3D printing group in the entire platform. We're watching you. Don't make me take your group down.
Yeah.
Your fault.
It would be. And Ian, you know, like, because you're from the UK, you understand, right? Can you imagine? It's gonna be an if. It's gonna be a when, not an if. Someone will 3D print a gun and commit a crime and kill someone with it. And if it happens in the UK, all hellfire will break loose.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Americans seem to appreciate that. It will be the biggest story of that month.
Oh yeah.
And legislation will be passed. instantly. So do you know what I don't want GCHQ to find when they trace back that person's activity? I don't want them to find they got that file from a thing that I run.
Yeah, you don't want to associate yourself with it.
Yeah. I don't want the government breaking into or busting down my door and taking my computer away to check I don't have those files, which I don't. Government.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a first thing people ask me when I tell them I have a 3D printer, and then they ask, and did you print a gun? And
no,
and I have no interest in guns, so I would never have to 3D print a gun because I don't have a gun in any shape or form. it's just another thing.
And then you get accused of being anti-gun. I love guns. I just told you I'm in K, which if for those of you not on 4chan, K is the weapons board. So it's just mostly crazy Americans. Like, I changed my gun to be fully auto. Check it out. I really do like weapons, and I'm like a really big FPS person. But that doesn't mean that I myself physically want to print guns. If I can get over to Murph or Earth, you damn well know that I'm gonna take an extra day and go to a shooting range and do some cool stuff there, right, when I'm over there. Because it's just too expensive in England to go to a shooting range. It's like quite expensive to go to a really cool shooting range. But in America, you can go for like really cheap.
Miles, if you go to Earth, I live about an hour from Earth. You're more than welcome to come up on our property and shoot the.
Exactly. You can do cool stuff like that.
More than welcome to.
Yeah. It's like things that just, it's a different. And I really wanted to wait for someone to 3D print those guns on a printer that you shouldn't print it on and watch their hand explode. I was waiting for it. I didn't have to wait that long.
Yeah, I think it's not so easy to not hurt yourself with those models.
I knew someone was going to do it who had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah,
didn't have to wait long. It was beautiful. It's like the look of like you know those memes where it's like instant regret.
Yeah.
Guns, and maybe I don't know if Matt can tell us, but if you're really into guns, I can't understand why 3D printed one would be of interest. Because it would be massively inferior.
Yeah.
I think the only of interest part is, the fact that it's possible. Beyond that, all I have to do is go to where I store my guns, and I've got way more functional, way more useful, way more practical. But it's just, to an extent, I can understand it's the because I can mentality of it. But it's not, not something I'm going to take to a shooting range every week and practice with, or shoot targets, go competition shooting with, or anything like that.
I don't think a marshal would let you bring that in there. I think you pull out a homemade weapon in a shooting range, and they're gonna be like, "No, put that away, you retard! Like, you can't be doing this here. This is not a bomb factory. We're serious people here."
Yeah, I think like for the police or government side of it, they're afraid of people bringing guns through a metal detector. Right. I don't know if it would pick up the bullets, because you obviously have metal in the bullets, but I don't know if they would be picked up.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go down this rabbit hole or not, but for over here in the States, it all depends what state you're from, what their laws are. But essentially, in order to make your own firearm, it has to have a minimum of a 1 inch by 1 inch cube of metal. Detectable ferrous metal. So looking at these 3D printed guns, one thing I will give them credit for is they modeled a Songbird pistol. They modeled it with the void in it to add your metal, to make it a legal firearm in the states that it's legal to make your own firearm. The bullets, to answer that question, they're not detectable. You've got to have some pretty serious equipment to detect that. So, yeah, I fully understand that. Having friends who are police officers, or even knowing people who work in corrections and things like that, that is their primary concern, is It's not the fact that you can do it. It's the fact that you can do it and do it in a way that's illegal that puts them in harm's way, essentially. And that's the biggest concern of it.
I don't understand why telling people follow the law where they live is a controversial statement.
It is.
If it's illegal to run over people with your car where you live, don't run over people with your car.
Yeah, that's true.
If it happens to not be illegal where you live to run people over with your car, I guess you can run people over with your car. I mean, you know, it's different, and I had a real anxiety issue with those files personally. I can't have more stress in my life and myself. It genuinely got on my case that I feel personally responsible. I feel personally responsible for that community. Right? I know it's a team effort, but especially if I did something or I allowed something or I missed something that got that messed with, I would not be able to deal with it personally. It would really, really upset me.
Of course, the government will now be able to find a chat where Miles is talking all about.
Yeah. I got a whole bunch of issues with the current leader of our country, and I've had issues with her since she was just in charge of like home secretary things. It kind of creeps me out with that. I don't need her goons in my house, please.
What? Even if she offered to dance for you?
I think I saw her dance moves on the news here in Iceland.
Oh, you would not think that lady is capable of some really weird stuff, but she is. She's done a lot of things. It is just really, you know, it's people are being messed with for ever increasing things where they don't actually mean to do anything wrong or do anything bad, and they're just kind of being messed with. That's like a situation within England. I'm sure Ian can like nod over there. Big. You're Scottish now, right? You've like assimilated, so you just say what you feel.
Got Scottish children and everything. Huh?
Yeah, so it's just like it's got real concerns, and in Britain especially, hysteria is a real issue. When something kicks off, it really, really kicks off, and people just demand things, and people go too far with things. So when the 3D printing gun happens, and I'm sure that the police and the intelligence services and everything are prepared for that inevitability. It's like, you know, I just don't want anything to be associated with anything that I'm personally involved in, and our communities in general. I don't want some stupid headline like groups of online. You know, you've seen crazier headlines about less real things.
Yeah, and then the people will ask, why was that available on that group? And you're a mod, and I understand that you would feel responsible for having that allowed, or yeah. So
it's not even like I think I would go to prison. It's that if you have to like raid my house, take my things, take me, go through the whole legal thing to then be found, no, okay, he didn't do anything wrong. That 1 to 2 year process probably would mess me up as a person. You know, I'm like already like on here, like don't mess with me like that. You know, because you're just gonna break me as a person. It's like, so that's why that was my thinking behind it. That's the kind of stuff I had in my head when I'm like, I will find you if you fuck with this.
Right. Well, and that's, you know, like from your perspective of things, one, it's easiest to take the approach if you don't allow it, you can't be accused of it later. And Miles, you look at the Facebook group, like you say yourself, you look at it as your baby. The Facebook group is your product. It's the group of moderators' product. And it's easy enough to say, you know what, we're not going to associate with that because then nobody can come back on us later, period. If you allow certain things and not others, then that opens you up to that ability.
It's also been illegal since the dude put out his first video on it in like 2012. We were like, no, none of this.
Right.
Like 5 years ago. No.
Yeah. And do you know why did this surface again? Because I thought the files were, you couldn't distribute the files, and then all of a sudden now in recent
it's like some court thing with like he's not allowed to put them up for download, like some other judge blocked his thing. But he's just selling USB sticks with the files on them for $10.
Yeah, okay. So the files are in distribution now.
The files are out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the file's out there for at least 2 years now, if not more.
It's real easy to find them.
Yeah, okay. And that's the reason this subject was brought to life, so to speak.
Yeah, and then just lights up in the media, and British media are so hysterical. They are so like every summer, the British media will write how we're being invaded by foreign spiders again, and everyone freaks out, and then you never see the goddamn spider.
American media is the exact same way. I mean, like the whole deal with 3D printing guns. The one good thing I can say is everything comes in waves. Everything starts to climb, it hits a peak, and that's when everybody freaks out about it. The news makes a big deal out of it, and then a month later, you don't hear anything about it again.
It just drives me personally to just distraction, because like and I guess it's like, yeah. Also, I've never been called a Democrat so many times in my life.
Yeah, yeah. You're talking about last stream that you called all the parties and all the religions, and people will find a way to hate you.
like specifically, it was Democrat, and like. It's literally just because I'm brown. It's like, think I'm American and I'm brown. and like, I would never vote for any of you.
I've come to the decision that anybody who argues what political affiliation you are just has nothing better to put into the argument, and that's why they say it. I had somebody just last week accused me of being one party or the other, and it was like, that was a good way to end the argument, because I was just dumbfounded that out of the blue you said that. They just have nothing better to say.
And my political affiliation is clear. I like the Cookie Monster. He doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a meme. I've genuinely wrote in every election. In the Brexit election, I vote for the Cookie Monster's decision. Not a joke. Seriously, it's a thing that I do.
Yeah.
Vote for the Cookie Monster, definitely.
Like it is a meme, but I also actually do it.
Yeah, I have a funny story that is in similar fashion. Like when the bank crisis and all that happened 10 years ago, we had a guy that was promoting himself to be the mayor of Reykjavik, and he just made it as a joke and said, "I'm gonna promise you all kind of stuff, but when I get elected, I will cheat it out and do everything for myself, and will not do anything for the public, and will be a bastard as a mayor." But he made really good jokes and videos. Like he made a music video, all kind of like strange stuff, and took part in the campaign, and he got elected as mayor in Reykjavik. And when he got elected, he said, I was primarily just joking. It's nice to have an indoor job. Normally I have some shitty jobs.
Whoa. Whoa.
But people
that's like us electing Lord Buckethead. Like, damn, you elected the meme.
Yeah.
actually
So he was mayor in Reykjavik for 4 years, and he just what he did, he hired assistants because he went to TV and said, I have no idea how to be a mayor of Reykjavik city, so I just have to hire assistants to do that shit. And I'm just going to hang around at the cafe. But people elected him.
I'm moving to Iceland. If Brexit goes bad, I'm moving to Iceland.
So Cookie Monster can't be maybe sometime Cookie Monster will be the
Lord Buckethead for PM.
Yeah.
Although, no, we used to have a party in England that literally promised to do nothing. Their whole plan was, we will do nothing.
Yeah. This was similar pitch. He was just looking for a nice indoor job at a nice desk.
People need to ask him for Tom to show that skull off.
You make noise, Tom.
Make noise.
Yeah, I switched the camera to him, so he should be on camera.
Oh, I laughed too hard for that. That was too bad.
I should be back now.
Yeah. Yeah, I've locked the camera on you, so
straight up voted for them.
Cool. TiVo Flash did well. That's 0.3 layer heights. That 60 millimeters a second.
Oh, don't say that.
I swear to God, 0.3 millimeter layer heights, 60 millimeters a second, and those supports are 0.4 layer heights.
Who did you hire, Quinman? Who did you hire? Give them a raise.
Tom, have you done anything with any bigger nozzles? Because all your profiles are set up for 0.4, right?
No, I've got a CR10 with 0.8, and I've got an Anycubic sat here with a 1.4 millimeter nozzle.
Have you released your 0.8 for the CR10 yet?
No, but I can send you it tonight if you want it.
Yeah, I'd love that. I've been trying to tweak your profiles with a 0.8 on my CR10 to get it to print good. I would love to see what you got for a 0.8.
My Proto were just killing itself.
I chased them away.
But yeah, no, I used, I just put a 0.8 nozzle on the CR10 and I just started printing with the standard profile and it didn't go well.
Yeah, I had to highly tweak mine to get it to print with the 0.8. You should try a 1.2. That's even more interesting.
Yeah, well, I printed a vase in wood filament with 0.6 or 0.7 layers, and it came out great. And then that gave me the encouragement just to keep going with it. But yeah, it's cool, especially for wood fill and velocity paint. That velocity painting that I did with the wood fill, that was a 0.8 or it might even be a millimeter. But the best thing recent, I don't even know if I've still got it wherever it's gone, is this one.
That's with a 0.8.
No, that's a 1.4 millimeter layer height. So I took a Dremel to a E3D nozzle.
Yeah, looks pretty funny, that model.
The thing is, though, that took 14 minutes.
That looks pretty good for that size nozzle.
And you could go shell.
That's.
Yeah, I think your audio was cutting out.
I really have to go. I'm being screamed at by people. It's
yeah, okay.
I didn't mean to get them on fidget spinners.
50 minutes ago. So, thank you all for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining in.
Yeah, I'm actually.
You can get off.
I'm a lot better doing that.
You can have a sleep and then you can come back and join in again.
There you go.
Yeah,
You'll still be here. Yeah. Yeah. So
3 hours later.
For the keep an eye, if you wanna, I'll be talking more about the podcast on Twitter. I'm still trying to decide if I want to do a pre-TCT episode. I tried to record it a couple times, and I was like, I'm not sure if I'm feeling this, so I might just wait till after TCT to record it and just have tons to say. I might do probably 1 or 2 on TCT and all the things that happen there. But yeah, thanks for having me. Send me memes on the internet from anywhere you can find me. I always like them, unless they're bad. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Don't forget, big bag for TCT. You're gonna need a big.
I'm gonna have to bring. I got a gym bag. I'm gonna put my gym bag in my backpack. I'm gonna have to. Thank you, Tom. I'll see you guys later.
See you, Miles.
See you later.
Yeah, see ya. Yeah, it's quite big roll. Is it 10 kilos or what is?
10 kilo RPLA recycled filament. Good quality stuff. I've used a few of them. I use these 2.3 kilo rolls a lot. I use a Tinker spool loader on my form bot. So I have like regular kilogram rolls at either side, and then I have a 2.5 set up in the center. I've only ever used the 8 kilos on CR10. That's the only ever thing. I used it on like a Tushy spool loader, so it was just rolling.
Yeah.
It worked all right. And again, I wasn't even printing out that required that sort of size material. It was just because I had the roll and I thought, well, let's see if it can pull it. And to my surprise, it could. I reckon if I could hang it above the Proto, I reckon that'd eat it. But then again, even if you printed it 100% infill, you're still not going to use it all.
You wouldn't fill the bed, would you?
You'd probably warp the bed if you printed it full.
You could pull a full-size cube with 100% infill.
Printing for a week.
Yeah, this roll could be a good use for the Funking one. Have you seen the printer that Glenn at Funking is building?
Is it the FK1, is it, or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beast, is that thing?
Yeah, it's 1.2 meter wide.
Yeah, it's got its own table.
Yeah. It comes with a table.
I've always wanted one of the big rep ones. They're kind of a meter cube. I know George is kind of, again, he's the UK, or one of the UK distributors of the big rep printers.
I forgot.
Oh no!
Hey, up his back.
No. Yeah. Sorry. I
forgot.
It's like really important to make sure that I drive this home. TiVo is still bad.
I knew it. I knew it.
Mic drop. Andy left the group.
I just knew we were going to do that.
That was good. I had to drop that in.
I think you should edit this stream before it goes on for people to rewatch, and cut it just before it comes back on.
Yeah. I ruined it for him.
He softened on TiVo. He didn't even bother mentioning it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give him this skull at TCT and let him see it. In fact, if I've done with that TiVo, I'll take him TiVo as well.
Yeah, and remember, you have to run towards him very fast.
Yeah, run with open arms.
Yeah. That's it. He was asking for people to randomly run at him.
That's what he said. I'm sure you're right, Matt. I'm sure that's what he said.
Definitely what he said.
Better in numbers, right?
Yeah.
There was something else that he said he didn't like as well on this. I'm going to have to watch the stream back to remember what it was. So remember what else we can wind him up with.
But I'm looking for, since you mentioned Glenn's, I'm looking for a new big printer, and I'm sort of in two minds. Obviously, the dream is a big Prusa. I'm not going to say it's not coming. It's definitely coming. I just don't know when. And the reason I say it's definitely coming is because if I keep saying that, it's got to come, surely. It's got to happen. Just keep wishing. Just keep dreaming. It'll happen. But I need another big build volume machine, like sort of not CR10, bigger than CR10, sort of 400, 500. I like the form bot, and I'm considering like the Raptor, the Chiron. The G-Max. I like the G-Max. I've always had a soft spot for the G-Max.
Yeah, the G-Max is in like 12 inches versus 12 inches.
No, CR10's 12 by 12 or 12 and a half by 12.
Bigger, is it?
Is it 16 or 18?
G-Max is 400 by 400 by 500, whatever that converts to in American.
Oh, is that all it is? Well, the standard G-Max, not the XT.
Yeah, 16 inches versus 16 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a scene.
It looks really well engineered, doesn't it? It looks as if it's a solid piece of kit.
Well, it's like the form, but that's a straight up. Well, it's not a clone because it's got IDEX, but that's about as close to a sort of Gmax that you're going to get. And if that's a non-Gmax printer works like that, then I imagine a Gmax to be absolutely unbelievable. And that's what I'm basing it off, the fact that the Gmax is the Prusa of the big build volume machines. But if I've got a lower one, like say you get a TiVo flash and it prints good, you know a Prusa is going to be top notch. But I'm sort of making that same calculation with a form, but it really does perform. So I reckon a Gmax will be really good stuff.
We'll knock on Ben's door, he's got one. We'll knock on Ben's door, he's got one, hasn't he? So
I don't know.
I know the one thing that holds true with the Gmax, as does the bigger the printer, the one thing you can guarantee with a bigger printer is the bigger the fail.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those urchins that Fernando, those spores for Fergues 3D, I printed a big one before it came out, and it was something like 4 days full build volume of the I nearly called it a Gmax then. I nearly called it a Gmax of the FormBot, and about 4.5 days and it failed just near the top of it. It was totally hollow, and it were a filamentum gold happens, and it were a filament twist, and it pulled, and it were under extruded up, rest of it like a cobweb. That was my longest fail ever. That
Worst fail I've had is when I was screwing around. I did what you did, Tom. I took a nozzle and drilled it out. I made it 1. I think I went 1.2.
Yeah.
On a 0.4 nozzle. Came down the next morning to an entire spool of filament on the ground, extruded.
It's funny you mentioned nozzle. The hardest fail I've had, well, it wasn't even really a fail. I kept getting a clog, and I've got 3 Anycubic i3 Megas, one with a 0.25 nozzle, one with a 0.4, and one with a hardened nozzle. And what had happened was I'd been moving some stuff around, and I'd actually swapped the printers over without realizing. And I was trying to print the 0.4 settings on the 0.25, and it took me nearly a week of messing about with it to realize what had happened when I went to print on the other one, and it did the exact same thing, and then I tweaked.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So you're using the wrong profile all the time.
Yeah, I was using a 0.25 on a 0.4, but it was a 0.25 printer I was using with a bigger nozzle profile, and literally it was just clogging jams. It'd come out and it would be dunk, 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 dunk. Printer would be jumping, and I just couldn't work it out. I swapped the hot end. I whipped the nozzle off, swapped the hot end, and installed the 0.25 nozzle back into the printer, and tried to carry on, thinking, well, it's got a new hot end now. There's got to be something wrong. Thermistor, no. Heat block, no. And that's what it was.
And obviously that's not the go-to answer that you swapped the printer. So
I know somebody else that can tell us a story like that. Don't I, Ian?
No idea what you're talking about, mate.
There's something there.
I tell you what, the most impressive fail that I ever had, and it was I think it had only been printing about 8-9 hours, and I was printing a vase. But what had happened, it was a CR10, and it's the Tom will know this. Basically, where the filament goes in, they finish up wearing away, and eventually they just catch, and so it wasn't actually pulling the filament properly, and it when I came, it was like it was the right shape. It was the shape of the vase, but it was just kind of like big gaps in between it and whatever. I'm like looking at it and thinking, I don't even know how that stayed together, and I touched it and it just went just what was even holding that all together in that shape? That was unbelievable. But I've got a photo of it somewhere, I think, of it actually in its shape when I came home, because I was gobsmacked by it. Still don't remember what you're talking about, by the way, Tom.
Yeah, I do. Ian once had a clog. Let's say.
Oh, look at that! The sound went out. What a shame.
Yeah, here's one of the failures for me. I was printing this on the CR10, and this was actually my first big print on the CR10. The extruder the gear that drives the filament came loose from the motor, so it didn't extrude. It's just stopped driving the filament.
I just love the fact that you still finished it.
Yeah, because it was a pretty big print that was ready to be painted. So I decided to, and this is normally the only print I don't either give away or sell. So normally this is my showpiece.
Hanging on the wall back there behind you with the unextruded part facing up, and nobody will know the difference.
Yeah, it could be here in the background.
There you go.
Yeah, here on the wall.
That might be the bugbear with the CR10 to the Ender 3. Were like Ian mentioned, the yellow injection molded extruder part that wears away eventually, and it snags the filament. Then like the Ender 3, it came and it had all these upgrades, and it was a newer machine than the CR10. And obviously we had the CR10S since, we had the CRX, and then that were in the mix, and that's had that plastic part on it. And for me, that creates a bad first experience for like the new user, and that's a new user experience sort of printer. Because after I got about halfway through Iron Man, about 200, maybe 150, 200 hours, and it were gone. It wasn't even there anymore. So, but I swapped them out to the Anycubic ones because they face the other way. They work a bit better.
Yeah, my CR10 experience was really bad. Mine blew a power supply after 4 days.
I saw yours on Twitter. You definitely had your CR10 experience were like my first Proto experience, but it's singing now.
Yeah, but I've done a lot of upgrades on it on videos on my channel, so it was like material for upgrade videos.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the amount of problems. It seemed like you pretty much hit every problem that anybody's experienced with the printer. You had one.
Yeah.
That is one thing I can say. I'm fortunate with my CR10S. Now, I bought one of the printed solid certified, so to speak, ones. I've had no problems with that, and mid-November will be a year that I've had that thing, and it has been flawless besides stupid shit that I've done to it.
Yeah, I know the printed solid guys were saying about there was a lot of mishaps, like every 5 printer was just totally screwed up and the remaining were bad. So I definitely got one of those bad ones because a lot of people have had good luck with them.
I mean, we were talking about GearBest before, and both myself and I think Tom as well, if memory serves, got CR10s from GearBest maybe before it went really crazy, and had no issues with them, and I think both printed with them stock for a long time. And literally the only reason that I decided to change from stock was when I had that issue, and I got the Bondtech kit from George at MVO to put on it, and it's, as I say, it's kind of, it would literally pull the house into the middle of the garden.
You're in Bowden set up there, right? You as well on
Bowden, yeah.
Yeah, I got a Bondtech on mine as well.
The one that I'm running that's direct drive, that's on a single lead screw as well, the original CR10, and it don't make a difference. It really don't. The weight's that insignificant once you've took that extra sort of stepper off at side, because you're not running 2 steppers, you're just running on that one. It really works.
Yeah, I have to look at the mount for the Bondtech. If I create a mount for the Mosquito hot end, I might as well change it to a direct drive in the process.
I'm definitely considering the one that Tom's got on his there that came from Greg, because it just seems I've got it's a clone. I have got an original P3D, but that's a spare in case one of the Prusa's dies. But I have got a clone P3D V6 that I could shove on there just as easily as well, and I've got the Bondtech kit, so it's very tempting just to get that on there, because you immediately kind of open up more possibilities of what you can do.
I'm thinking next for mine, I need to put a silicone heat mat on it. Only reason I think that is because now that I've got the E3D and the Bondtech on it, it's not just printing PLA and PTG anymore. It can print all sorts of things. So the only weakness there is the bed. It will get to 70, it will get to 80 in about a week. And then again, you really sort of, for sort of how old it is, you really sort of pushing the hardware of that printer to keep that bed at 80 for 20, 30 hours at a time. So I'm thinking of getting just a similar like the Kenevo one that's on the Formbot, and leaving the old one still on it, not even taking it off, just getting it under the glass, and hopefully I can open that. That'll be the closest I can get to a sort of big build volume Prusa until we get a big build volume Prusa.
Tom, have you insulated the bottom of your bed?
Which, the CR10?
Yeah.
No, because 9 times out of 10 I preheat beforehand. So by the time it comes to like clicking play, because I'll preheat and then I'll slice the G code and I'll go for it. But it's very, very rare that my CR10 prints anything other than PLA. The only reason it's printed a lot of PTG recently is just to test out the hot end, and same with a bit of flex. But I use the Prusa and the Formbot again, caps and tubes for that. They're the sort of PTG machines. And then I have a MK2 and an enclosure. That's where I use for all stuff like ASA, carbon filled, wood filled, all that sort of stuff, because it's got a hardened nozzle. Well, it did have a hardened nozzle. I broke it, but we're getting back to it.
Yeah. That's my CR10 now. I've got it in an enclosure now. But I figured out the way to speed up my bed. I had insulated under the bed back when I first bought it, because that's something I just do on all my working in heating and air conditioning. I have insulation tape. So I just run layers of tape on the bottom of the bed and then assemble the bed, or put the bed back on the printer, depending on what it is. With the enclosure, they have Printed Solid has modeled into the enclosure for BOFA filters or filtration for fume extracting. That hole is the perfect size for my heat gun, the nozzle of my heat gun to go in it. So I just shove the heat gun in there, turn it on, heat the enclosure up, and my CR10 bed will easily get to 100, 110 in 5 minutes.
Nice. I thought I would use a silicone baking mat, like an Amazon one. And he put the silicone print, obviously it warmed up quicker. When he was ready to print, he just lifted his mat off and set his print going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so you're a bit quiet.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know why. I've not changed out either. I thought that myself.
It was your boss saying. So.
Yeah. Can you hear me still?
Martin, you might have the in the control panel, the little like switch and lever icon on the left-hand side. You may be able to bump Tom's audio up higher than what it's coming through at.
Yeah, okay. Let's see.
If it'll work or not.
Yeah, try to speak now, Tom.
Yeah, I don't really do technology.
Yeah, I could do the volume here. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He just had you turned way down, Tom.
I know. He turned me down. He thought, "Oh, he's back." Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I can mute everyone because I'm the master.
I particularly liked when Tom was about to tell his bad story about me that you muted him. That was really good.
And I've got to tell everybody this story because Ian's got giant fingers, right? Ian changed something in his profile so that his retraction on his Prusa, his genuine Mark II S Prusa, was a 6.9 or something along them lines, and they were getting repetitive clogs, even in brand new hot ends, and neither of us could figure it out. And then when we both had the brainwave of what it was, we laughed. Or I did.
I remember we laughed quite a lot. It was one of those crazy things because it was, it's very easy just to do something as stupid as that. And I don't know what it was that I was trying to change at whatever point, and it may have been nozzle size, changing on something I can't remember, but I must have accidentally clicked on. And there it was at 6 something, and and then it was a snowman. I did a snowman model, kind of, and I printed a few of them, and they were all right. And then all of a sudden, I must have, I think I probably swapped computers, and on the other computer, that was the one that had the dodgy profile, and I never even thought twice about it. And I was like, right, okay, we'll just print that out, and it got. The the snowman was about yay tall, and it got about there. It got about 3/4 of the way up, and I'm like, oh, what's going on there? Cleared it all out, unplugged it, set it going again. It got about the same height, and I'm like, oh no, I have no idea what that is. What is going on here? So I think I changed the filament. Oh, it must be the filament. I'll swap to something else. And this time it got that high up. Time to just walk away and think about something else for a little while. So that's what we did. But yeah, eventually I think I sent the exported the profile and sent it to Tom, and we kind of sat looking at it, and he went, I know what's wrong with your profile. Why? What's wrong with it? Have a look at it now. What's your level set to? And I'm like, oh, okay. A shame. Back to the print.
I thought you'd sent me a CR10 profile when I first looked at it. I just thought, that's not for a Proto, isn't that? I thought, it can't be.
I may well have been thinking I was changing a CR10 profile and went, oh, why is that so low?
Anytime I get a printer or get a profile like Tom's profile, I'll have where I have the original. I get something that works and works well and save that off and then copy it. I don't ever touch it again because when I have a problem with something and I can't figure it out, I go back to that. And if it's still there, then I know it's hardware. If it's not, then I know it's slicer.
I don't even use in Simplify 3D, and I think that some of Tom's profiles has got all the various materials in that. I tend to save a different profile for each material.
Yeah.
Just because I don't trust it. I've seen it definitely where you go in and you change the PLA profile and then you flick over to PETG in the same profile and the settings have changed.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen that as well, and I do the same thing.
Do you know something? I'll actually say something bad about Simplify 3D. You can't do it. You can't like that. It is physically impossible to put all the material changes. You can't in the same drop-down menu. You can't have a flex profile and a PLA profile because you can't manually define extrusion width in one and have auto extrusion width in the other. You can't, for instance, have an extrusion width of 0.43 for PLA, and you can't boost that to 0.47 for. You can do the multiplier, but you can't do that. There's only certain retraction and infill settings that you can change. Whereas, for instance, between flex and PLA, your infill settings are going to be completely different. So,
which is deceiving of the idea, at least for me and Ian. It sounds like you're the same way. I would expect that if I change from my PLA profile under or settings under a profile to PETG, that everything changes, and it doesn't. And it'll screw you up if you think that way.
Like you can't have separate the distance the way that it stays within the part. You can't differentiate between two different materials on certain settings. So it's a good idea, but they don't give you it's not, for me, it's not possible.
I'm hoping with this update, they're touting all of a sudden this big update, major update to Simplify now, coming soon. I'm hoping they straighten that out, but at the same time, I've gotten into my rhythm, just like Ian, where I've got separate factory files for different materials.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Do you have any information on what will be in the new version?
Nope, they just keep touting coming soon, big changes or big things or something. They're being totally secretive of it.
No inside knowledge there, Tom, no.
Not from me, mate, no.
He's got a smirk on his face.
You know.
Honestly, no, I don't know. Don't know anything. What's Simplify 3D?
Exactly.
He's playing that guy.
I wish the biggest thing for me, I wish with Simplify 3D is that they just took away that you had to pay first. Let people have a 30-day trial, and the user experience would go up more. And it's not even that the translation from using the software to actual sales would be any different. It's just that the amount of sales that would come in from that would be tenfold, because the people could try it before they buy it and they could use it. Like I have a friend who does 3D art, and I was talking to him the other day, and they didn't want to buy Simplify 3D, they didn't want to do it, and then all of a sudden they bit the bullet, and after they bit the bullet, they loved it, they fell in love with it. And I also think there should be a slimmed down version. Like you can use Simplify 3D within a half decent profile. You can use it with just the advanced features closed and just go for off your presets. I think there should be a reduced version where there is no advanced settings, where those profiles are pre-built, and that's more of a cost-effective one where it costs less. You can only go off certain defined profiles, aimed more at makerspaces and schools and stuff like that. That can't really afford that thing. I think there needs to be something to bridge that gap from $0 to $150.
Well, you know, like I just last night downloaded ZBrush. I would love to buy ZBrush, but I cannot afford, what is it, $850 for ZBrush. I can't afford that. But there's things, I've got one specific thing right now that my mother-in-law wants, this Halloween decoration, wants the foot fixed on it. I can't model that in a lot of stuff, and I thought, well, you know what, ZBrush will be a good option to try. I better be careful before I break another leg off of it. That's $800 and some odd piece of software, and I've got a 45-day free, completely full version of it for free. Now, 45 days from now, I'll be finding something else, but if they can do that, if Pixelogic can say, here's $850 worth of software for free for 45 days, Simplify 3D should be able to do the same thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Completely agree.
Yeah, and like I bought Simplify 3D not so long ago, and I wanted to try out the profiles Tom was doing, and a lot of people are talking about this software, and I decided to want to try it out. And immediately I started like a support ticket, how to return my license, because it was not obvious on how you can return. They say you can return it after 14 days or something like that, but a lot of people don't want to go through that hassle of doing that. And it's not like that you just push a button in the software. You have to create a ticket and go through the sales, and they will find a way to close your account. And it's not a simple process. So people will just bite the bullet and say, fuck it, I'll just keep it.
If they change that would be, because people say like it's hard to justify the cost of it compared to others that are free. But when you use it, it genuinely is worth every penny. But the problem is that the user doesn't get to use it. They have to lay out that money first. Whereas if they could use it first, it would sell itself. It would sell itself.
Well, 15 days isn't a long enough time to really actually get to use Simplify 3D.
No, you need at least.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I ever bought Simplify 3D when I did was because I bought a FlashForge Dreamer, which doesn't accept G-code from anything but Flash Print and Simplify 3D. They're the only two slicers that would work with it. Now, since then, I've figured out a way to make it work, but that's the only reason I bought Simplify. Flash Print sucked. It had no customization in it. You had a high, medium, and low quality profile, and that was it. You couldn't even tell with different materials and stuff. So, I wanted to change out to all metal and be able to change temperatures, change materials, and it just didn't allow you to do it. So I bought Simplify 3D, and it was a huge purchase, but in all honesty, I bought it. I've used it almost solely. I only every once in a while play with Slicer, play with Cura, just to see where they're at right now. Whenever they release new features, just to play with it a little bit, and then I go back to Simplify. But the things that I'm doing with Simplify 3D now fully justify that price, and probably a lot more than the $150.
You can grow with it as well. You can come into it as a new user, and it fulfills everything that you've got, but you can use it in a full size sort of industrial environment, and it will still perform for you, well, just like you say.
Right. Yeah. 15 days just isn't enough time. For that amount of money, people are looking at the money and looking at what they're getting so far without tweaking things and really learning what you can do. It's a short amount of time to make that decision.
Yeah, it was. I decided to keep it, just to have it as an option. But I've used the slicer from Prusa, the Prusa edition slicers. I like the Octoprint integration. I can just send a print directly to Octoprint and take a box, and it will start printing. So I don't have to log into Octoprint. So I can print directly from the slicer, and that's a really neat feature. And
there is a way to do direct from Simplify into Octoprint as well. I had it set up and then switched computers or something and just didn't set it back up again.
Yeah, you can mount like a watch folder from Octoprint, but you still have to go into Octoprint and start that print.
I thought there was a way to start the print and everything right from Simplify, but maybe I might be mistaken.
I thought there were as well. I can't remember. I saw a video. I don't use Octoprint myself, but I'm sure you can run it straight through it. I think there's something in between that you upload it to that, and that throws it into Octopi.
Right. Well, Martin, you saw with the community build, the parts that I printed at Earth that weren't there. What I was doing with Simplify 3D, the logo back here, each one of those pieces, a lot of people, I mean, most of those parts are 6 to 12 hour prints for, what were they? I think they were 125 by 125 by 50 at the tallest. I was printing full pieces in 3 hours, where the closest to me was 6 or 8 hours, I think, because of what Simplify 3D would allow me to do and what I had learned to do with it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff there, it's like, everybody wants to print faster. And there's the argument that, everybody's focused on printing faster. And Tom, like looking at your profiles, things are slowed down a bit in a lot of them, which is why you get the quality. A big reason why you get some of the quality that you get is because of the print speeds. Everybody wants to go faster, but they want that quality too. So there's things you can do and Simplify to speed it up and still get the quality.
Yeah, well, that's what I've done recently. Like I've updated my MK3 profile that comes out soon, and that was 50 millimeters a second. It now prints at 90 millimeters a second. And I've just changed the speed overrides around just to get the outside layer down to 25, 30 millimeters a second. And
right.
But that's my biggest bugbear with S3D is that you can't control all external parameters speed. You can only control the last one, which for me, I want to print infill really fast. I don't want to print any parameters fast.
Right.
So I wish they could change that as well, where you could tweak the speed for all of them.
Hey, something you might be interested in trying out. Play with your angles on infill.
Yeah, infill angles.
I'm printing now, so each layer, it'll do a 0 degree angle, 0, I think 45, 90, minus 90, minus 45. And it gives you all these X's, but it's only one layer. So you can print with a lower infill density and actually get a higher infill out of it.
Yeah, because it crosses over them laps.
Right. Yeah, you're building a structure inside of it as opposed to just overlapping on one layer.
Supports as well. When you're getting the really tall supports, you can use the cross angles at different points to sort of structure it up as you go up.
Yep.
That's where I learned the infill angle. But I saw a guy recently and he changed the infill angle and it was literally a square and it were printing like this, left and right. But the finished part, it looked quite cool with the finish.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see gyroid infill as well. I'd like to see some different infill patterns.
Would be nice, wouldn't it?
Diaphragms wherever you need them, essentially. That's Neris really wants that. like the Cura adaptive infills kind of situation. You can get away with it in Simplify 3D, but I think people want it to be more simplified. I think they want to be able to tick a box that gives them the varying infill rather than having to put the diaphragms in themselves, which I personally prefer doing it myself because that's just the way that I've done it. So to break out of that would not seem quite right.
Right.
But if the step from to 4.0, what we saw come, if we get that kind of a step this time, I think we're in for special things.
What were you saying, Ian?
I said it does feel, I definitely agree with Tom on that. You feel as if you're more in control when you're setting the infill at the different layers, using the variable settings, and as you go up, it does feel as if you're more in control. But equally, I can see why people want the option to tick a box, and it automatically does that.
Have you tried the option in Cura, the dynamic infill?
No, I get this really bad twitch when I try and use Cura.
I get this rash all down the side of my neck here.
I've never used Cura, so
before Simplify, Cura is what I used. That was the 1504 or whatever the old version of Cura was before the new style. That was all I used. I had tried Repetier, I had tried Slicer, and I settled into Cura with my first printer. But man, that all changed when I got Simplify. Now I got the same twitch you guys do when I go back to it. I'm like, really?
I have to use it. I don't have to use it, but I use it on the very rare occasion that I actually fire the Sigmax up. I tend to use it because the profiles that they've created for that are better.
I'll mute my mic for this one because I won't comment.
Yeah, so on the rare occasion I do use it, and I mean, it's like anything. I'm used to using Simplify 3D, so I'll go into that and immediately I'm looking at the same sort of options, even if they're slightly worded different, but they're just not all there. So it does make my brain hurt trying to work that one. Slicer is okay. Again, I think you have to work too hard to change the settings on anything but Simplify 3D. And you know,
don't buy MMU2 then. You better get you Slicer.
What was that, Tom?
I said, don't be ordering MMU2 or you'll be getting used to Slick 3R.
I don't mind. It works okay. I just if I wanted to tweak anything in it, then I would be slightly nervous, I think. But it's I've had good results out of it. So.
Well, you should, when you think about it, Proto's putting a lot into it. He's got like 2 or 3 developers. I can't remember the exact numbers, but he's got at least, I think it's 4 developers working on the software all the time. And then he's got guys that are just constantly building and testing profiles from materials all over the world. And I think that's a great thing. I think that we don't get to see that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist from other slicers and other companies like Simplify 3D, but from Proto you get to see that and you get to feel that. And I think the amount of investment and time that is putting in, found a way that you possibly could use MMU2 with Simplify 3D, but I don't think I'm gonna. I've been playing with Slicer Proto Edition recently, and it's all right. It's a good slicer. It's not for me because it's not got the pre at the end of the day, and that it does.
Maybe that's Simplify 3D's big announcement. Maybe they've joined forces with Prusa, and that's going to be the new official slicer.
Yeah, that would be something.
That would be, actually.
Yeah.
And with the whole MMU and that being an open source piece of hardware, I mean, the other week when we talked to Pallet and Shane from Prusa on the stream, it was one of the things he said is, yes, it's made for the Prusa, but we anticipate that within short order after releasing this thing, people are going to take it and make it work on other printers.
Open source out there at the end of the day, isn't it? So,
yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does look, because it's, they have literally kind of shifted directions completely from MMU1 that had all the issues that people came up with, and they've just gone, no, we're gonna come up with a better way of doing that. And it does seem like it just seems like a really good solution that would come up, even with the things I love, kind of mechanical solutions to things. So even with the the ball bearing that gets pushed out of the way by the filament going through for the finder, is it called? Are they calling it?
Yeah, finder. Yeah.
I just love that. I think that's a really neat solution. So but there's so many of them, and we were saying this I think last time as well. But Bill Steele's obviously talking about Chameleon at the moment, and then there's Selectra, I think, just reached its funding goal. Kickstarter, and it seems as if multi-material is just about to really explode. It's everybody's been talking about it for a long while, but it looks as if it's about to properly explode.
It's like just 2 colours becoming affordable. I've got a tracking on a G-Tech A10M coming in next week, 2-colour mix, kind of built off the Ender 3 sort of platform. Now, for that technology to be there at that sort of price, that shows the change. Now, obviously, that's not fully multi-material printing. It's kind of multi-coloured printing. Almost, you can mix, you can fade, you can do, and so on. But I think like the difference from MMU1 to the difference of MMU2. That I think that shows how sort of far and how big it's going to be. We've got like Chameleon, then you've got the Crane Quad. There's quite a lot of stuff that's going off, and I think rather than it being all just Kickstarter this, Kickstarter that, it's all ready. It's there. MMU2 shipping, pallets took pre-orders, they're ready. They had some units to show. Chameleon shown some test prints, M3Ds at THC with their units. These things are sort of ready. So I think it's exciting times for multicolour, multi-material printing. My opinions on multi-material printing: if you want to print 2 colours or 2 materials, nothing is better than IDEX. It's untouchable. If you want more than 2, then I'd say personally palette or MMU2, depending on what you're liking. For me, the palette splices, the Prusa not splicing, I kind of like that. I've got a palette. I like that the palette slices, it does its thing, but if whatever's going to go wrong, that's where it's going to go wrong, whereas the Prusa avoids that with the retractions. But again, you lose a little bit of time in those retractions, so it's all swings and roundabouts. I like how they're both at the top of the game in different avenues to produce a very similar result. I think that's quite cool to show that you can do, like you can do FDM, you can do SLA. Well, that's kind of the same sort of thing in the sort of the products that they brought out. And just having the community behind them, like people like Shane from Prusa being able to come onto the chat and talk about it, and having the CEO from Mosaic come, I think that sort of integration with the community is key. And listening, they don't always have to reply and they don't have to respond to every comment, but be there, be listening, be taking on board what everyone said, because in this community now, that even the hobbyist community, there is some really clever people. There is some people that do some things and you think, what? How don't you work for Prusa? How don't you work for MakerBot? And this sort of thing. And I think if we all come together, the more we come together, the more we'll advance, and the better for us in our lifetime, so to speak. Multicolour exploding.
I think and E3D also with a tool changer. That's one platform.
Yeah, yeah.
That's even more, isn't it?
Sorry, Ian.
I was just say that's even, you know, that they're talking about pick and place and, you know, I guess machining tool heads and stuff like that as well with that tool changes. That really is, you know, another step again. And there was the one that that Joel, when name's going out of my mind, but again was a tool changer kind of design. It was a rotary one.
Yeah, I liked that. That was subtractive and additive as well, which was quite cool. How he printed something and then he cleaned it up with the other tools. That were impressive.
Obviously, that's my background, was NC machining, and back in the day, both of those types of tool changer, I've used NC machines. One that had a big circular turret that spun round and it had a tool, kind of all the different angles, and ones that have got, you know, magazines that they load them in with a robotic arm and all that sort of thing. And you know, the technology's been there for doing that sort of thing for a while, but doing it with FDM as one of the either one or all of them in the mix is, you know, it's pretty funky stuff. It's pretty good. I think I was saying earlier on that from my point of view, I would definitely be interested in doing multicolour and making multicolour models at home. Multi-material stuff that really excites me in my work life. That's the, you know, I think that's where we're really going to get crazy stuff.
Sorry, my kids found squeaky toys for the dogs upstairs, so they're up there making noise. I hope you guys can't hear that.
Yeah, we heard a little bit of the dog.
Yeah, she's up there driving them nuts right now. So I'm gonna keep myself muted unless I'm talking.
Well, I'm gonna jump out now because I've got 1,000 prints to do, and TCT's literally around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for joining in. It has been we are gone for 3.5 hours now. So it's quite a stream also this time.
Yeah, that's awesome. But the great things, and for me, it's been a great transition into live streaming and YouTube itself, and to be able to sit with people like yourselves and that have got the confidence and that I've seen before do it. It fills you with confidence. It's a nice place to be. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes. It's good platform for people to get into.
I'm just waiting for it goes so I can talk about it, and I really don't like them.
He's only jealous because I had 2 Filamentum shirts before they'd even sent him one. That's all it is. This is what it all boils down to, is that I got a T-shirt first.
True. Very true.
And that mine fits me and his doesn't.
Oh, bloody beautiful.
You can't see the clamp on the back holding it tight.
Really that big. He's got a bobble in the back. He's not really that muscly.
If you saw my 3D Maker shirt, though, you'll probably get through with me in that one.
Right, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks very much. Enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, guys, it has been a good show. Do you want to carry on chatting, or for myself, I would be okay to end the stream?
Yeah, I'm good with whatever you guys want to do.
Martin wants to go out on a high.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys have actually done, I mean, so far with the EU streams, you guys have done really well with them. You just watching at work and stuff. A lot of times I have you on, just my phone's in my pocket and I got a Bluetooth earbud in. But, you know, when I've checked in, the chat's active, the viewer count's up. You guys have done really good with it so far.
Yeah, I think we had good success with the streams so far. So it was a good idea to start those.
Definitely help consistency with Martin doing the host and kind of guiding us through it. You know, we're all newbies at this and not kind of experts at all in the way that the Hangouts were working and what have you. So I think that has really helped us that we've had the guide to ease it into it.
Yeah, and I try to keep us on subject for at least 1 hour.
I'm sure at some point somebody will give you a week off, but you know I don't think it's anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm at home, then I don't mind hosting. So it's so that's not the issue. Yeah, but I think is it maybe just end the stream. I think it's been a good run for tonight. For me, I would say for next Friday, the US stream will be on.
Yeah, I think I got somebody to cover my call, and I'm not going to be able to make it up to New York Maker Faire. So I think I'm going to end up hosting next week for the US stream.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Not sure yet what the topic's going to be, but what's that come out to, Martin? Is it 3 a.m. GMT?
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
In the summertime. In wintertime, it's 3 a.m.
Yeah. So 2 a.m. GMT, same channel you're on now.
Yeah.
That'll be good. And I would imagine the following week we'll be talking mainly about TCT. So we'll be able to fill you in on all of that.
Yeah. I was thinking that would probably be a good subject to cover for us that don't go.
Plus, we'll have all seen the coverage from Maker Faire as well, won't we, by then?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's probably going to be the discussion next week, is kind of the pre-Maker Faire discussion. Thursday night, Matter Hackers is having their meetup in New York. I am going up for that. I'm going to drive up. I took off Thursday and Friday from work, so I'm going to drive up Thursday, hang out probably till 2 a.m. in New York City, and then drive home again. So we'll probably be talking about pre-Maker Faire.
Yeah. But yeah, so guys that are still watching, we have 16 people watching. I thank you all for joining in the chat and watching the stream. So for me, it's just see you next time, and bye.
See you, everybody.
See you guys.